She's trying to run away from her record when she has held the second most important office in the land for the last 3.5 years, and she wants us all to forget that. I think to your question, Betty, about the one question, and there's so many for Kamala, but she was the border czar. And the no borders policy, not the open borders policy of Biden Harris, the no borders policy originated with her. It was under her purview, it was her portfolio. So I would turn to her and ask her point blank, you have deliberately erased America's borders. You have created an epic economic, social, and national security crisis of the likes this country has never seen before. Why did you deliberately erase America's borders and put the American people in dire jeopardy over the last 4 years?
Mm.
And then just stop talking
You're
and
right.
hear and listen to it. We
And
all
she
know
gonna say, "Well, I
that
haven't been to
because
Europe
there
either."
would have been a course correction
That's what
over
she
the
gonna
last
say.
4 years, and they never did it. So I would just ask her point blank why they deliberately are destroying the country with the no borders policy, and then just stop talking and let her answer.
Man, I think it's gonna turn
Yeah, I
on.
can't wait for
Look, we
that.
go to Manhattan, we go to New York, we go to Obama's old neighborhoods. We can't find Kamala supporters. We can't find Biden supporters. I don't know where they go anymore. Trump holds this big rally in Harlem. I don't know if you were there or
Hey,
not,
David, we ready for
but
the
it was
debate.
like
Look, I ain't even
thousands
go
and
to
thousands of
dance
people in
practice
the
tonight.
overflow in Harlem. It's like things are
Let me
changing,
put this
man.
last
And
song
in the
before they be talking
Bronx
about me.
too. I mean, what Donald Trump does that no other Republican has really done is he meets voters where they are. So he goes to the Bronx. He goes into Harlem. He goes into these areas. He's been at the border. He's talked to frontline uh, ranchers and others who are dealing with this epic crisis more than anybody else. He goes to where people are and he talks directly to the
Yeah, we
American
are.
people.
We
And he
ready.
says, I hear you, I see you, and
We
once again, I will be your
ready.
champion. And the power of that is it's emotional. It is not political. It's not ideological. It is an emotional draw with the American people and an emotional bond with them. And that is what people respond to with him. And it hasn't dissipated at all in 9 years, which is astounding. You never get that with any American president or leader. I mean, Obama had some of that emotional appeal, but Obama can't draw a crowd now. The fact that Donald Trump is still has the hold on the American people is because he is one of us. He
Yep.
is not one of them. And the split in this country is less left, right, Republican, Democrat than it is ruling class versus the rest of us.
Oh, I
And Donald
know.
Trump stands with the rest of us. And that is why I think
I
he's
know,
going to
David.
win
His name
come
is
November 5th.
Trash.
We always said if we were trapped in an elevator with Joe Biden, we'd ask him, and we got a chance to ask him one question really quickly. It would be, "How many grandkids you got?" And we think that would be really fun to get on camera. We always thought, no, he wouldn't say the right answer. He wouldn't get it.
They
We
funny.
haven't thought about it. We haven't thought about it. But to your point, in closing here, this is what it looks like outside the debate. It's a giant Trump rally. So fun. A
Yeah,
little hard to see, but it's
Yeah.
really fun.
Donald Trump has the people. Now, the
Yep,
other
that's
side, Kamala has all the three-letter agencies, the deep state, the imperial media, big tech, Hollywood. And that's why, we're here in
Yeah.
chaos because when one side, Donald Trump has the people, and
I
the
need the
other
mute.
side has weaponized
I'm looking at this.
That is a looking man right there.
Look at this,
So
y'all.
is it a watch party that you're at right now?
Yes, this is a debate watch party here in Oaks, Pennsylvania.
Look, y'all.
Are there a lot of people? I don't know if you can show us. Can we try? Why not? Let's do it.
Yeah, show us the party.
We're live. There we go. Got the watch party in Pennsylvania, baby. Must-win state of Pennsylvania.
Yes, we got to win Pennsylvania.
Look at that. This is amazing. Scott, are you you're now famous in Pennsylvania. Like everywhere you go, people have got to be like, I know you, man. I've already registered to vote. Don't ask. I got it. I've already registered to vote.
Sorry, say it one more time, Benny.
Say it one more time, Benny.
You must. Every single person who's ever gone to like a Wawa or a Sheetz in Pennsylvania must know you by now.
You know, the hair and the boots definitely make me stand out. But people come up to me, Benny, and they're just so thankful. They know that Pennsylvania wins the White House. They know that the work that we're doing here is consequential. And look, we're making it fun. You're talking about being rambunctious and rowdy, and that spirit is certainly here tonight. People are fired up to save the country we love. They are ready to take back peacefully our country.
So, is this actually you flying in this plane over the NFL game?
Yes.
Are you registered to vote at your current address?
I have to give a shout out to the person making all of these memes. I actually don't even know who it is, but their handle is the number 6, the letter H, and then cents. And that person has agreed on a new meme every single day that I can post for the next 50 seconds.
So we are less than 5 minutes away. I want to give you an
5
opportunity
minutes
to
away
update us on Bucks County. I think this is a very recent. This is a very recent flip by you and your team.
Yes. So, Benny, 4 years ago, the Democrats had more than 15,000 registered Democrats. As of today, that number is plus 1,400 Republicans. That is a flip of 16,400 to the right, and a state that was decided by 80,000 votes.
y'all.
I want to make it clear to anyone listening right now. We have narrowed the Democrat advantage from 900,000 in 2016 to 347,000 today.
Oh, yeah, we're not playing.
Inactive voters,
I need to go find out what Tennessee got, which I already know we're a red state. We wouldn't dare be voting for Kamala
requests are down in Philly,
Tennessee.
are down in Pittsburgh, and are down 100,000 from where they were 4 years ago. Republican mail-in ballot requests are up. Republican election day watchers are up. And I'm telling you, all the metrics show me, Benny, that Pennsylvania is in play. And let's deliver Pennsylvania for Donald J. Trump.
Yes, sir.
Scott Presler is, as we've said for years on this program, the one man who actually puts his money and work boots where his mouth is and goes out and does the work. And it's remarkable. You can see the effects of Scott wherever he goes. Really quickly here, Scott, because we have this debate starting in 4 minutes.
Yes.
How does Trump win Pennsylvania in this debate?
Trump needs to talk about the juxtaposition between his administration, which was a booming economy that was working for working class America, that we had peace, no new wars, and it was the threat of the Kamala Harris administration to send all of the Penn State University, to send all of the college kids to fight those wars that we didn't have. And furthermore, illegal immigration is a real serious issue to Pennsylvanians. He needs to talk about that he is securing the border, he will make sure we have peace, not war, and he will fight for months to be able to have an economy that works for them.
Scott, we have one final meme for you. It's you moderating the debate here and asking the important question tonight. Are you registered at your current address?
Like you said, Trump said what he want to say.
Great nut suit. That is a good-looking suit. I need to go get it.
I wouldn't know what to do if I saw your suit, Scott. I'd be like, this is who's this imposter? Scott, we just want to say thank you. Part of the reason why we have hope, so much hope, against all hope.
Ooh, I can't wait. Come on with the debate.
God bless you, sir. Anything we can do to help.
Thank you, Benny. I'm a state director. I have 30 staff. We are ready to go at earlyvoteaction.com. Let's cheer on this president. Let's elect him. Let's go.
Earlyvoteaction.com. The great Scott Presler. See you, buddy.
Bye.
All right, y'all. We is ready for we ready for this debate. Russian agent? Who? Who is? Who you calling Russian agent? I know you're not calling Benny a Russian agent. Y'all don't go on. Come on. Benny a Russian agent, but didn't Putin endorse Kamala? Make it make sense. Cut it out. Stop. Come on with it. Trump 2024. Trump 2024. Trump 2024. Trump 2024. Trump 2020. I had made a whole song and I don't even remember what it was. I can't even remember. I had made a whole song. Let me go to, I can go to Fox News and watch the debate. I ain't paying either. They got me paying. I ain't paying to watch the debate. Nope. My son is gone to dance practice. Nobody. They said no breastfeeding today. I don't know. I assume it's a dude. Maybe. Dang, why I can't? Man, hold up. All right, y'all, it's time. Can I go to ABC News?
In Philadelphia, Vice President Kamala Harris and former President Trump.
And we got ABC. There's no way. Babe, ABC on the TV.
Moment in this race for the White House. Just 2 months before Election Day in America. Good evening, everybody. I'm Martha McConnell.
What do you mean, why are you watching the debate? Trump is still the president. When is he the president? Slow ass.
Fox News. The performances tonight could really
I hear you. It's on now.
Winning and losing. in November. Think how much has changed in 75 days.
Yeah, but the way they got it on the computer, they...
Post-game analysis and reaction from the spin room. Then Sean Hannity takes over.
I know, but on the computer, they want you to log in off of who you subscribe to.
Way forward.
Donald Trump.
We will soon be a great nation again.
Face to face.
Huh?
Historic. The ABC News presidential debate. Here now, David Muir and Lindsay Davis.
Good evening, I'm David Muir, and thank you for joining us for tonight's ABC News presidential debate. We want to welcome viewers watching on ABC and around the world tonight. Vice President Kamala Harris and President Donald Trump are just moments away from taking the stage in this unprecedented race for president.
And I'm Lindsay Davis. Tonight's meeting could be the most consequential event of their campaigns, with Election Day now less than 2 months away. For Vice President Kamala Harris, this is her first debate since President Biden withdrew from the race on July 21st. Of course, that decision followed his debate against President Donald Trump in June. Since then, this race has taken on an entirely new dynamic.
And that brings us to the rules of tonight's debate. 90 minutes with 2 commercial breaks. No topics or questions have been shared with the campaigns. The candidates will have 2 minutes to answer questions, and this is the clock. That's what they'll be seeing. 2 minutes for rebuttals and 1 minute for follow-ups, clarifications, or responses. Their microphones will only be turned on when it's their turn to speak. No pre-written notes allowed. There is no audience here tonight in this hall at the National Constitution Center. This is an intimate setting for 2 candidates who have never met.
President Trump won the coin toss. He chose to deliver the final closing statement of the evening. Vice President Harris selected the podium to the right.
So let's now welcome the candidates to the stage. Vice President Kamala Harris and President Donald Trump.
Good evening. We are looking forward to a spirited and thoughtful debate.
So let's get started. I want to begin tonight with the issue that voters repeatedly say is their number one issue, and that is the economy and the cost of living in this country. When it comes to the economy, do you believe Americans are better off than they were 4 years ago?
So I was raised as a middle-class kid, and I am actually the only person on this stage who has a plan that is about lifting up the middle class and working people of America.
Oh, my God.
I believe in the ambition, the aspirations, the dreams of the American people. And that is why I imagine and have actually a plan to build what I call an opportunity economy. Because here's the thing. We know that we have a shortage of homes and housing, and the cost of housing is too expensive for far too many people. We know that young families need support to raise their children, and I intend on extending a tax cut for those families of $6,000, which is the largest child tax credit that we have given
within the first year. Ain't nobody having no new babies.
Families can afford to buy a crib.
So what are you doing for the ones that's not having new babies?
Children. My passion, one of them, is small businesses. My mother raised my sister and me, but there was a woman who helped raise us. We call her our second mother. She was a small business owner.
Well, we didn't get no money. You gave the Asians $26.9 billion.
$50,000 tax deduction to start up small businesses.
Not hearing
knowing
it.
They are part of the backbone of America's economy. My opponent, on the other hand, his plan is to do what he has done before, which is to provide a tax cut for billionaires and big corporations, which will result in $5 trillion to America's deficit. My opponent has a plan that I call the Trump sales tax, which would be a 20% tax on everyday goods that you rely on to get through the month. Economists have said that Trump sales tax would actually result for middle-class families in about $4,000 more a year, because of his policies and his ideas about what should be the backs of middle-class people paying for tax cuts for billionaires.
Oh, no.
President Trump, I'll give you 2 minutes.
The last she
First of all, I have no sales tax. That's an incorrect statement. She knows that. We're doing tariffs on other countries. Other countries are going to finally, after 75 years, pay us back for all that we've done for the world. And the tariff will be substantial in some cases. I took in billions and billions of dollars, as you know, from China. In fact, they never took the tariff off because there was so much money they can't. They would totally destroy everything that they've set out to do. They're taking in billions of dollars from China and other places that left the tariffs on.
Ain't nobody having no new kids.
And yet I had no inflation. Look, we've had a terrible economy because inflation which is really known as a country buster. It breaks up countries. We have inflation like very few people have ever seen before, probably the worst in our nation's history. We were at 21%, but that's being generous because many things are 50, 60, 70, and 80% higher than they were just a few years ago.
Sure are.
This has been a disaster for people, for the middle class, but for every class.
Yes.
On top of that, we have millions of people pouring into our country from prisons and jails, from mental institutions and insane asylums, and they're coming in and they're taking jobs that are occupied right now by African Americans and Hispanics, and also unions. Unions are going to be affected very soon. And you see what's happening. You see what's happening with towns throughout the United States. You look at Springfield, Ohio. You look at Aurora in Colorado. They are taking over the towns. They're taking over buildings. They're going in violently. These are the people that she and Biden led into our country. And they're destroying our country. They're dangerous. They're at the highest level of criminality.
What you think?
And we have to get them out. We have to get them out fast. I created one of the greatest economies in the history of our country. I'll do it again and even better.
We are going to get to immigration and border security during this debate, but I would like to let Vice President Harris respond on the economy here.
Come on and respond.
I would love to. Let's talk about what Donald
Cost
Trump
of pricing
left us.
going up.
Donald Trump left us the worst unemployment since the Great Depression. Donald Trump left us the worst public health epidemic in a century. Donald Trump left us the worst attack on our democracy since the Civil War. And what we have done is clean up Donald Trump's mess. What we have done and what I intend to do is build on what we know are the aspirations and the hopes of the American people. But I'm going to tell you all in this debate tonight, you're going to hear from the same old tired playbook, a bunch of lies.
We hear yours.
And name calling. What you're going to hear
He ain't called you no
tonight
names.
is a detailed and dangerous plan called Project 2025.
Girl, he ain't
that
even
the
a
former
part of
president
that.
intends on implementing if he were elected again.
Stop your lies.
I believe very strongly that the American people want a president who understands the importance of bringing us together,
Hey,
and we
you
have
laugh.
so much more in common than what separates us. And I pledge to you to be a president for all Americans.
President Trump will give you a minute to respond.
Yeah, come on with it.
I have nothing to do, as you know, and as she knows better than anyone, I have nothing to do with Project 2025.
Thank you.
That's out there. I haven't read it. I don't want to read it purposely. I'm not going to read it. This was a group of people that got together. They came up with some ideas. I guess some good, some bad. But it makes no difference. I have nothing to do. Everybody knows I'm an open book. Everybody knows what I'm going to do. Cut taxes very substantially and create a great economy like I did before.
And
We
did.
had the greatest economy. We got hit with a pandemic.
Right. So you can't blame him for the pandemic.
1917, where 100 million people died. Has there been anything like it? We did a phenomenal job with the pandemic. We handed them over a country where the economy and where the stock market was higher than it was before the pandemic came in. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. We made ventilators for the entire world. We got gowns. We got
For
masks.
nothing.
We did things that nobody thought possible. And people give me credit for rebuilding the military. They give me credit for a lot of things, but not enough credit for the great job we did with the pandemic. But the only jobs they got were bounce back jobs. These were jobs bounce back, and it bounced back and it went to their benefit. But I was the one that created them. They know it, and so does everybody else.
Vice President Harris, I'll let you respond.
So Donald Trump has no plan for you. And when you look at his economic plan, it's all about tax breaks for the richest people. I am offering what I describe as an opportunity economy. And
Trump,
the best
calm, baby. You look
economists in our
stressed,
country,
Kamala.
if not the world, have reviewed our relative plans for the future of America. What Goldman Sachs has said is that Donald Trump's plan would make the economy worse. Mine would strengthen the economy.
Girl,
what
stop.
the Wharton School has said is Donald Trump's plan would actually explode the deficit.
You already in
16 Nobel
office.
laureates have described his economic
And then
plan as
exploded
something that would increase inflation and by the
$9
middle
trillion.
of next year would invite
Only
a recession.
3 before y'all hit the
You
office.
just have to look at where we are and where we stand on the issues. And I'd invite you to know that Donald Trump actually has no plan for you because he is more interested in defending himself than he is in looking out for you.
Girl, cut it out. Yeah, defending himself from y'all liars.
I went to the Wharton School
Trying to
of
lock him
Finance,
up
and
like a black
many of those
man.
professors, the top professors, think my plan is a brilliant plan. It's a great plan. It's a plan that's going to bring up our worth. Our
Let's do a
value as
name, a
country. It's
Trump
gonna make
name
people
count.
wanna
Cool
be able
G.
to go and work and create jobs and create a lot of good, solid money for
Yeah, I
our
already went to the
for our
stop.
country. And just to finish off, she doesn't have a plan. She copied
Right.
Biden's plan, and it's like 4 sentences, like run, spot, run. 4 sentences that are just, oh, we'll try and lower taxes. She doesn't have a plan. Take a look at her plan. She
Right.
doesn't have a plan.
Right.
Mr.
What the
President,
plan
I do
that,
want to drill down
Kamala?
on something you both brought up. The Vice President brought up your tariffs. You responded, and let's drill down on this because your plan is what she calls is essentially a national sales tax. Your proposal calls for tariffs, as you pointed out here, on foreign imports across the board. You recently said that you might double your plan, imposing tariffs up to 20% on goods coming into this country. As you know, many economists say that with tariffs at that level, costs are then passed on to the consumer. Vice President Harris has argued it'll mean higher prices on gas, food, clothing, medication.
What would that have to do?
arguing it
How?
costs
When
the
he
typical
charging
family
other countries?
$4,000 a year. Do you believe Americans can afford higher prices because of tariffs?
They're not going to have higher prices. What's going to have, and who's going to have higher prices is China and all of the
Right.
countries that have been ripping us off for
Y'all
years.
better listen.
I was the only president ever. China was paying us hundreds of billions of dollars
in
and so were
tariffs.
other countries. And you know, if she doesn't like them, they should have gone out and they should have immediately cut the tariffs.
But they
those
didn't.
Tariffs are there 3.5
kept them.
years now under their administration. We are going to take in billions of dollars, hundreds of billions of dollars. I had no inflation, virtually no inflation. They had the
Sure did
highest
not.
inflation perhaps in the history of our country because
Indeed.
I've never seen a worse period of time. People can't go out and buy cereal or
Can't.
bacon or eggs or
Can't.
anything else. The people of our country are absolutely dying with what they've done. They've destroyed the economy. And all you have to do is look at a poll. The polls say 80 and 85 and even 90% that the Trump economy was great, that their economy was terrible.
It
Vice
was.
President Harris, I do want to ask for your response, and you heard what the president said there, because the Biden administration.
This
did
y'all
keep
Yawson
a
said
number
yes,
of
and
the
I'm
Trump
also
tariffs in
gay.
place.
Right.
So
Ain't
your
no, the
response.
gay is not even for
Well,
her.
let's be clear that the Trump administration resulted in a trade deficit, one of the highest we've ever seen in the history of America. He invited trade wars. You want to talk about
Trade
his
wars, I wrote
deal
that down.
with China? What he ended up doing
Trade
is under
wars.
Donald Trump's presidency,
She just
he ended
lying.
up selling
All these lies I can
American
fact check.
chips to China to help them improve and modernize their military. Basically sold us out.
Nigga, China
When a
military been
policy
better
about
than
China
ours.
should be
Just
in
to be
making
honest.
sure the United States of America wins the competition for the 21st century, which means focusing on the details of what that requires, focusing on relationships with our allies, focusing on investing in American-based technology so that we win the race on AI, on quantum
cut it
computing,
out.
focusing on what we need to do to support America's workforce so that we don't end up having on the short end of the stick in terms of workers' rights.
We
But what
already
Donald
on the
Trump
short
did,
end of the
let's talk
damn
about this,
stick.
with COVID, is he actually thanked President Xi for what he did during COVID. Look at his tweet. Thank you, President Xi, exclamation point, when we know that Xi was responsible for lacking and not giving us transparency about the origins of COVID.
And that's why he thanked them.
First of all, they bought
was
their chips
sarcastic.
from Taiwan. We hardly make chips anymore because of philosophies like they have and policies like they have. I don't say her because she has no policy. Everything that she believed 3 years ago and 4 years ago is out the window. She's going to my philosophy now. In fact, I was going to send her
Right.
a MAGA hat. She's gone to my philosophy. But
Now she right.
if she ever got elected, she'd change it. And it will be the end of our country. She's a Marxist.
And this person said,
Everybody knows she's a
I'm
Marxist.
from
Her
Europe.
father's a
The same
Marxist
place she ain't
professor in
been.
economics, and he taught her well. But when you look at what she's done to our country, and when you look at these millions and millions of people that are pouring into our country monthly, where it's, I believe, 21 million people, not the 15 that people say.
Right.
And I think it's a lot higher than the 21. That's bigger than New York State pouring in. And just look at what they're doing to our country. They're criminals. Many of these people coming in are criminals. And that's bad for our economy, too. You know, you mentioned before, we'll talk about immigration later. Well, bad immigration is the worst thing that can happen to our economy.
Right.
They have, and she has destroyed our country with policy that's insane. Almost policy that you'd say they have to hate our country.
President Trump.
Right, because she do hate our
When it
country,
comes to
for
the
real.
issue of abortion, President Trump, you've often touted
Oh,
that you
yes,
were
I
able
love
to
this
kill
abortion
Roe v.
talk.
Wade. Last year, you said that you were proud to be the most pro-life president in American history. Then last month, you said that your administration would be great for women and their reproductive rights. In your home state of Florida, you surprised many with regard to your 6-week abortion ban because you initially had said that it was too short. And you said, quote, I'm going to be voting that we need more than 6 weeks. But then the very next day, you reversed course and said you would vote to support the 6-week ban. Vice President Harris says that women shouldn't trust you on the issue of abortion.
We shouldn't trust her either because she don't have any
so many
children.
times. Therefore, why should they trust
So the reason I'm doing that vote is because the plan is, as you know, the vote is, they have abortion in the 9th month. They even have, and you can look at
in the 9th month.
West Virginia,
that's
the
murder.
Governor of West Virginia, not the current governor, is doing an excellent job, but the governor before, he said the baby will be born and we will decide what to do with the baby. In other words, we'll execute the baby.
Like, are you kidding me?
I did that because that predominates, because they're radical. The Democrats are radical in that. And her vice presidential pick, which I think was a horrible pick, by the way, for our country.
And
he is really out of it.
Tampons in the boy's bathroom.
Pick says abortion in the 9th month is absolutely fine. He also says execution after birth. It's an execution, no longer abortion, because the baby is born, is okay. And that's not okay with me, hence the vote. But what I did is something for 52 years. They've been trying to get Roe v. Wade into the states. And
that's what you did.
Genius and heart and strength of 6 Supreme Court justices, we were able to do that. Now, I believe in the exceptions for rape, incest, and life of the mother. I believe strongly.
Thank you,
Ronald
Trump.
Reagan did also. 85% of Republicans do exceptions. Very important. But we were able to get it, and now states are
They trying to say, he don't care if you die. He's still gonna make you have the baby if it's for your health. Just heard it out his own mouth.
For 52 years. Every legal scholar, every Democrat, every Republican, liberal, conservative, they all wanted this issue to be brought back to the states where the people could vote. And that's what happened. Now, Ohio, the vote was somewhat liberal. Kansas, the vote was somewhat liberal, much more liberal than people would have thought. But each individual state is voting. It's the vote of the people now. It's not tied up in the federal government. I did a great service in doing it. It took courage to do it. And the Supreme Court had great courage in doing it. And I give tremendous credit to those 6 justices.
There is no state in this country where it is legal to kill a baby after it's born. Madam Vice President, I want to get your response to President Trump.
Well, as I said, you're going to hear a bunch of lies, and that's not actually a surprising
Why
fact.
would they say that?
Let's understand
why
how
did
we
they
got
respond back to him?
Donald Trump hand-selected 3 members of the United States Supreme Court with the intention that they would undo the protections of Roe v. Wade. And they did exactly as he intended. And now in over 20 states, there are Trump abortion bans, which make it criminal for a doctor or nurse to provide health care. In one state, it provides prison for life. Trump abortion bans that make no exception even for rape and incest, which understand what that means. A survivor of a crime, a violation to their body, does not have the right to make a decision about what happens to their body next. That is immoral.
The baby is not their body. That's a whole nother body now.
Their faith or deeply held beliefs to
this
agree
person said if she becomes president, your country is lost.
Should not be telling a woman what to do.
This person said, as a non-American, good luck if y'all actually elect her because y'all are cool.
Our country. You want to talk about this is what people wanted? Pregnant women who want to carry a pregnancy
and Trump is against that.
Did you
not hear him?
Care in an emergency room.
She on bullshit.
Providers are afraid they might go to jail.
No, she just want abortion. Period. Like just period.
She didn't want that. Her husband didn't want that.
He said incest, health of the mother, and rape.
Being forced to carry a pregnancy to term, they don't want that. And I pledge to you, when Congress passes a bill,
you did not say that. If it's at the health of the mother, you're not carrying it to term. If you were raped, you don't have to carry it to term. If it was, what is she talking about? She's just lying.
But understand, if Donald Trump were to be reelected, he will sign a national abortion ban. Understand,
girl, good. Quit fucking.
There would be a national abortion, a monitor that would be monitoring your pregnancies, your miscarriages. I think the American
You don't
people
care because you don't have no children, so why are you
certain
worried?
freedoms, in particular the freedom to make decisions.
Athena, your
about
mama
one's
should have
own
aborted
body
you.
should not be made by
Now.
the government.
Thank you, Vice President Harris.
Well, there she goes again. It's a lie. I'm not signing a ban, and there's no reason to sign a ban. Because
Right.
we've gotten what everybody wanted. Democrats, Republicans, and everybody else, and every legal scholar wanted it to be brought back into the states, and the states are voting. And it may take a little time, but for 52 years, this issue has torn our country apart. And they've wanted it back
60
in the
million
states. And I
babies
did
killed.
something that nobody
Mostly
thought was
black.
possible. The states are now voting. What she says is an absolute lie. And as far as the abortion ban, no, I'm not in favor of abortion ban, but it doesn't matter because this issue has now been taken over by
your state. So go vote in your state if you have a problem.
Because again, two things. Number one, she said she'll go back to Congress. She'll never get the vote. It's impossible for her to get the vote, especially now with the 50-50, essentially 50-50 in both Senate and the House. She's not going to get the vote. She can't get the vote. She won't even come close to it. So it's just talk. You know what it reminds me of? When they said they're going to get student loans terminated.
Right.
And it ended up being a total catastrophe. The student loans, and then her, I think probably her boss, if you call him a boss, he spends all his time on the beach. But look, her boss went out and said, we'll do it again. We'll do it a different way. And he went out, got rejected again by the Supreme Court. So all these students got taunted with this whole thing about this whole idea.
Getting loans
and
erased.
How unfair that would have been. Part of the reason they lost to the millions and millions of people that had to pay off their student loans. They didn't get it for free. But they were saying it's the same way that they talked about that they talk about abortion.
But if I could just get a yes or no, because your running mate, J.D. Vance, has said that you would veto it if it did come to your desk.
Well, I didn't discuss it with J.D. in all fairness. J.D., and I don't mind if he has a certain view, but I think he was speaking for me, but I really didn't. Look, we don't have to discuss it because she'd never be able to get it, just like she couldn't get student loans. They couldn't get student loans. They didn't even come close to getting student loans. They
Sure didn't. They got rid of some Asian student loans, though.
They can never get this approved. So it doesn't matter what she says about going to Congress. Well, wonderful. Let's go to Congress, do it. But the fact is that for years they wanted to get it out of Congress and out of the federal government. And we did something that everybody said couldn't be done. And now you have a vote of the people on abortion.
Vice President Harris, I want to give you your time to respond, but I do want to ask, would you support any restrictions on a woman's right to an abortion?
I absolutely support reinstating the protections of Roe v. Wade. And as you rightly mentioned, nowhere in America is a woman carrying a pregnancy to term
Sorry, Mathis, that was a mistake.
An abortion. That is not happening. It's insulting to the women of America. And understand what has been happening under Donald Trump's abortion bans. Couples who pray and dream of having a family are being denied IVF treatments. What is happening?
Yeah, sorry, Maid.
Working people,
Maid
working
D1TS. I didn't mean to do that.
Who are working 1 or 2 jobs, who can barely afford childcare as it is, have to travel to another state to get on a plane sitting next to strangers to go and get the health care she needs. Barely can afford to do it, and what you are putting her through is unconscionable. And the people of America have not, the majority of Americans believe in a woman's right to make decisions about her own body. And that is why in every state where this issue has been on the ballot, in red and blue states both, the people of America have voted for freedom.
Vice President Harris,
Excuse me, I have to respond. Another lie. It's another lie. I have been a leader on IVF, which is fertilization.
Right, she is a liar.
I have been a leader. In fact, when they got a very negative decision on IVF from the Alabama courts, I saw the people of Alabama and the legislature 2 days later voted it in. I've been a leader on it. They know that, and everybody else knows it. I have been a leader on fertilization, IVF. And the other thing, you should ask, will she allow abortion in the 8th month, 9th month, 7th month?
Come on.
Okay, would you do that? Why don't you ask her that
Why
question?
don't you
That's
answer
the
the
problem.
question? Would you
Because
veto?
under Roe v.
Answer
Wade,
the question.
you
Would you
could,
veto?
you could do abortions in the 7th month, the 8th month, the 9th
That's
month,
not true.
and probably after birth. Just look at the governor, former governor of Virginia. The governor of Virginia said we put the baby aside and then we determine what we want to do with the baby.
President Trump, thank you.
We're going to turn now to immigration and border
Right.
security.
He
We know
telling
it's
the
an issue that's
truth.
important to Republicans, Democrats,
She
voters
don't care.
across
She
the
don't
board,
got no
in this
kids.
country. Vice President Harris, you were tasked by President Biden with getting to the root causes of migration from Central America. We know that illegal border crossings reached a record high in the Biden administration. This past June, President Biden imposed tough new asylum restrictions. We know the numbers since then have dropped significantly.
Yeah, right.
But my
Y'all
question
must
to you
be on her
tonight is, why
side.
did the administration wait until 6 months before the election to act? And would you have done anything differently from President Biden on this?
So I'm the only person on this stage who has prosecuted transnational criminal organizations for the trafficking of guns, drugs, and human beings. And let me say that the United States Congress, including some of the most conservative members of the United States Senate, came up with a border security bill, which I supported. And that bill would have put 1,500 more border agents on the border to help those folks who are working there right now overtime, trying to do their job. It would have allowed us to stem the flow of fentanyl coming into the United States. I know there are so many families watching tonight who have been personally affected by the surge of fentanyl in our country. That bill would have put more resources to allow us to prosecute
Some BS like what you said, or RB.
for trafficking in guns, drugs, and human beings. But you know what happened to that bill? Donald Trump got on the phone, called up some folks in Congress, and said, kill the bill. And you know why? Because he preferred to run on a problem instead of fixing a problem. And understand, this comes at a time where the people of our country actually need a leader who engages in solutions, who actually addresses the problems at hand. But what we have in the former president is someone who would prefer to run on a problem instead of fixing a problem.
And what you do?
I'll tell you something. He's going to talk about immigration a lot tonight, even when it's not the subject that is being raised. And I'm
Girl, yes, the hell it is the subject.
And I'm going to invite you to attend one of Donald Trump's rallies, because it's a really interesting thing to watch. You will see during the course of his rallies, he talks about fictional characters like Hannibal Lecter. He will talk about windmills cause cancer. And what you will also notice is that people start leaving his rallies early out of exhaustion and boredom.
Really?
And I will tell you, the one
did
thing
she ask you about a rally?
Is you. You will not hear him talk about your needs, your dreams.
Girl, that's all I hear him talk about at his rally is the American people.
You deserve a president who actually puts you first, and I pledge to you that I will.
Girl, President Harris, thank you. President Trump, on that point, I want to get your response.
Well, I would like to respond.
Let me just ask, though, why did you try to kill that bill? And
why he can't
so
respond?
That would have put thousands of additional agents and officers on the border.
First, let me respond to the rallies. She said people start leaving. People don't go to her rallies.
And don't.
And
she bust the homeless people in and pay them to go.
To be there, and then showing them in a different light. So she can't talk about that. People don't leave my rallies. We have the biggest rallies, the most incredible rallies in the history of politics. That's because people want to take their country back. Our country is being lost. We're a failing nation. And it happened 3.5 years ago. And what's going on here, you're going to end up in World War III, just to go into another subject. What they have done to our country by allowing these millions and millions of people to come into our country, and look at what's happening to the towns all over the United States. And a lot of towns don't want to talk. It's not going to be Aurora or Springfield. A lot of towns don't want to talk about it because they're so embarrassed by it.
Right.
In Springfield, they're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats. They're eating...
They are eating the cats. Why is she standing there laughing when she know this shit is true?
This is what's happening in our country, and it's a shame. As far as rallies are concerned, as far as
eating cats and ducks and geese and dogs,
they want to bring our country back. They want to make America great again. It's a very simple phrase: make America great again. She's destroying this country, and if she becomes president, this country doesn't have a chance of success. Not only success, we'll end up being Venezuela on steroids.
I just want to clarify here. You bring up Springfield, Ohio, and ABC News did reach out to the city manager there. He told us there had been no credible reports of specific claims of pets being harmed, injured, or abused by individuals within the immigrant community.
Yeah, right.
Let me just say here, this is
Stop lying.
My dog was taken and used for food. So maybe he said that, and maybe that's a good thing to say for a city manager.
I'm not taking this from
But the
television.
people
I'm
on
taking it from
television
the city
saying their
manager.
dog was
ABC definitely is for her. He can't say nothing back.
Again, the Springfield city manager says there's no evidence of that. Vice
We'll
President
find
Harris,
out.
I'll let you respond to the rest of
Y'all lying. I saw a video of the police arresting the lady that ate the cat.
You know, this is, I think, one of the reasons.
A man walking around with the duck with the head off that he had got from the park.
Of 200 Republicans who have formerly worked with President Bush, Mitt Romney, and John McCain, including the endorsement of former Vice President Dick Cheney and Congress member Liz Cheney. And if you want to really know the inside track on who the former president is, if he didn't make it clear already, just ask people who have worked with him. His former chief
well,
of staff,
83% of the people that work for you quit, ma'am.
Constitution of the United
And it's
States.
on record.
His former national security advisor has said he is dangerous and unfit. His former secretary of defense has said the nation, the republic, would never survive another Trump term. And when we listen to this kind of rhetoric, when the issues that affect the American people are not being addressed, I think the choice is clear.
You the one not addressing them.
A quick minute to respond.
Yeah. Thank you. Because when I hear that, see, I'm a different kind of a person. I fired most of those people.
Right.
Not so graciously. They did bad things.
How has your people left you, Kamala?
They never fired one person. They didn't fire anybody having to do with Afghanistan and the Taliban and the 13 people who's were just killed, viciously and violently killed. And I got to know the parents and the family. They didn't fire. They should have fired all those generals, all those top people, because that was one of the most incompetently handled situations anybody has ever seen. So when somebody does a bad job, I fire him. And you take a guy like Esper, he was no good, I fired him, so he writes a book. Another one writes a book, because with me they can write books, with nobody else can they?
Right, Kamala, they can't write a book getting fired from you. Who cares?
They never fire anybody. Look at the economy. Look at the inflation. They didn't fire any of their economists. They have the same people. That's a good way not to have books written about you. But just to finish, I got more votes than any Republican in history by far. In fact, I got more votes than any president, sitting president in history by far.
Let me continue on immigration. It was what you wanted to talk about earlier, so let's get back to your deportation.
We'll talk about it.
Proposal.
You let her say stuff she want to say. I already see y'all, ABC.
You call this the largest domestic deportation.
That's why Trump didn't want to have the thing on here, but he agreed.
National Guard. You say if things get out of control, you'd have no problem using the U.S. military. You also said you would use local police. How would you deport 11 million undocumented immigrants? I know you believe that number is much higher. Take us through this. What does this look like? Will authorities be going door to door?
No, I know that, but I'm talking about that's why he didn't want to know. But they actually own ABC though.
They allowed
like they
criminals,
there
many,
with them.
millions
Everybody
of
else
criminals.
is just streaming it.
They allowed terrorists. They allowed common street criminals. They allowed people to come in, drug dealers to come into our country, and they're now in the United States and told by their countries like Venezuela, don't ever come back or we're going to kill you. Do you know that crime in Venezuela and crime in countries all over the world is way down? You know why? Because they've taken their criminals off the street and they've given them to her to put into our country. And this will be one of the greatest mistakes in history for them to allow. And I think they probably did it because they think they're going to get votes, but it's not worth it because they're destroying the fabric of our country by what they've done. There's never been anything done like this at all. They've destroyed the fabric of our country. Millions of people let in, and all over the world, crime is down all over the world except here. Crime here is up and through the roof.
And
despite their fraudulent statements that they made, crime in this country is through the roof. And we have a new form of crime. It's called migrant crime. And it's happening at levels that nobody thought possible.
President Trump, as you know, the FBI says overall violent crime is actually coming down in this country. But
Excuse me, the FBI they were defrauding statements. They didn't include the worst cities. They didn't include the cities with the worst crime. It was a fraud. Just like their number of 818,000 jobs that they said
is
they
a
created
fraud.
turned out to be a fraud.
President Trump, thank you. I'll let you respond, Vice President Harris.
Well, I think this is.
We know you're gonna let her respond, Vice
coming from
President.
someone who has been prosecuted.
That's all she's ever going to reach. She's not going to be president.
National security crimes, economic crimes, election interference, has been found liable for sexual assault, and his next big court appearance is in November at his own criminal sentencing.
Girl, so for somebody he didn't even touch.
Where each person stands
when you gonna get your criminal
on the
sentencing?
Issue of what is important about respect for the rule of law and respect for law enforcement. The former vice president called for defunding federal law enforcement.
The former vice president, he was the president, woman. Get it right.
On the day
You
after
the vice
he was arraigned
president.
on 34 felony counts. So let's talk about what is important in this race. It is important that we move forward, that we turn the page on this same old tired rhetoric and address the needs of the American people, address what we need to do about the housing shortage, which I have a plan for, address what we must
3
do
million
to support our
houses for the
small
20
businesses,
million
address
immigrants you let
bringing down
in?
the price of
Girl.
groceries. But frankly, the American people are exhausted with this same old tired playbook.
Vice President
Yeah,
Harris,
with you.
thank
Excuse me.
We're tired.
Every one of those cases was started by them against their political opponent. And I'm winning most of them, and I will win the rest on appeal.
And will.
And you saw that with the decision that came down just recently from the Supreme Court. I'm winning most of them. But those are cases, it's called weaponization. Never happened in this country. They weaponized the Justice Department. Every one of those cases was involved with the DOJ, from Atlanta and Fani Willis to the Attorney General of New York and the DA in New York. Every one of those cases. And then they say, oh, he's a criminal. They're the ones that made them go after me. By the way, Joe Biden was found essentially guilty on the documents case. And what happened in my documents case? They said, oh, that's the toughest of them all. A complete and total victory. 2 months ago, it was thrown out. It's weaponization, and they used it, and it's never happened in this country. They used it to try and win an election. They're fake cases.
President Trump, thank you. A really quick response here, Vice President Harris, on this notion of weaponization of the Justice Department.
Well, let's talk about extreme and understand the context in which this election in 2024 is taking place. The United States Supreme Court recently ruled that the former president would essentially be immune from any misconduct if he were to enter the White House again. Understand, this is someone who has openly said he would terminate, I'm quoting, terminate the Constitution of the United States, that he would weaponize the Department of Justice against his political enemies.
Girl, when did he say that?
Who has openly expressed disdain for members of our military. Understand what it would mean if Donald Trump were back in the White House with no guardrails. Because certainly we know now the court won't stop him. We know J.D. Vance is not going to stop him. It's up to the American people
Vice President Harris, thank you. Lindsay?
Yeah, thank you.
President Harris, in your last run for president.
So Trump can't respond?
This is the one that weaponized.
It's bullshit.
She weaponized. I probably took a bullet to the head because of the things that they say about me.
Right.
They talk about democracy. I'm a threat to democracy. They're the threat to democracy with a fake Russia investigation that went nowhere.
He don't care.
Lindsay?
Vice President Harris, in your last run for president, you said you wanted to ban fracking. Now you don't. You wanted mandatory government buyback programs for assault weapons. Now your campaign says you don't. You supported decriminalizing border crossings. Now you're taking a harder line. I know you say that your values have not changed. So then why have so many of your policy positions changed?
So my values have not changed, and I'm going to discuss every one of at least every point that you've made. But in particular, let's talk about fracking because we're here in Pennsylvania. I made that very clear in 2020. I will not ban fracking. I have not banned fracking as Vice President of the United States. And in fact, I was the tie-breaking vote on the Inflation Reduction Act.
And you passed it, and now we fucking in debt more.
My position is that it
was all about climate, nothing about inflation.
Diverse sources of energy, so we reduce our reliance on foreign oil. We have had the largest increase in domestic oil production in history because of an approach that recognizes that we cannot over-rely on foreign oil. As it relates to my values, let me tell you, I grew up a middle-class kid.
Who cares?
By a hardworking mother who worked and saved and was able to buy our first home when I was a teenager.
Good for your mama.
The values I bring to the importance of home ownership, knowing not everybody got handed $400 million on a silver platter.
God. Girl, that 25,000 ain't doing nothing for nobody.
It's a value that I bring to my work to say we are going to work with the private sector and home builders to increase by 3 million homes by the end of my first term. My work that is related to having a friend when I was in high school who was sexually assaulted by her stepfather.
Okay.
And my focus then on protecting women and children from violent crime is based on.
Well, you letting all the immigrants in that's raping them rapists up.
Of standing up for those who are most vulnerable. My work that is about protecting Social Security and Medicare is based on long-standing work that I have done, protecting seniors from scams. My values have not changed.
Then why my mama only get 900 in Social Security and worked all damn life?
Values and a perspective that is about lifting people up and not beating people down and name calling. The true
he ain't said a name not once. You have.
The leader who actually understands the strength is not in beating people down, it's in lifting people up. I intend to be that.
Girl, this is not the speech, this is a debate.
First of all, I wasn't given $400 million. I wish I was. My father was a Brooklyn builder, Brooklyn, Queens, and a great father, and I learned a lot from him, but I was given a fraction of that, a tiny fraction, and I built it into many, many billions of dollars.
Billions, indeed.
Billions. And when people see it, they are even surprised. So we don't have to talk about that. Fracking, she's been against it for 12 years. Defund the police, she's been against that forever. She gave all that stuff up very wrongly, very horribly, and everybody's laughing at it, okay? They're all laughing at it. She gave up at least 12 and probably 14 or 15 different policies. Like, she was big on defund the police. In Minnesota, she went out, wait a minute, I'm talking now.
Right, so be quiet.
Please.
Yeah, the mics are muted, so why you talking? He didn't talk on you at all. And they said candidates not supposed to talk at each other. She doing it, and they allowing her to do it.
Criminals that killed people, that burned down Minneapolis. She went out and raised money to get them out of jail.
Indeed.
She did things that nobody would ever think of. Now she wants to do transgender operations on illegal aliens that are in prison. This is a radical left liberal that would do this. She wants to confiscate your guns, and she will never allow fracking in Pennsylvania. If she won the election, fracking in Pennsylvania will end on day one. Just to finish one thing, so important in my opinion. So I got the oil business going like nobody has ever done before. They took, when they took over,
the drilling,
they got rid of it, started getting rid of it, and the prices were going up the roof. They immediately let these guys go to where they were. I would have been 5 times, 4 times, 5 times higher, because you're talking about 3.5 years ago. They got it up to where I was because they had no choice, because the prices of energy were quadrupling and doubling. You saw what happened to gasoline. So they said, let's go back to Trump. But if she won the election, the day after that election, they'll go back to destroying our country, and oil will be dead, fossil fuel will be dead. We'll go back to windmills, and we'll go back to solar, where they need a whole desert to get some energy to come out. You ever see a solar plant? By the way, I'm a big fan of solar, but they take 400, 500 acres of desert soil.
Trump, we have a
These
lot
are
of
not good
issues
things
that we
for the
have to get
environment,
to.
as
We're
she
out of time.
understands.
Thank you.
Lindsay, thank you. We
Girl,
have an
y'all
election
let her
in
talk.
56 days. And I want to talk about the peaceful transfer of power, which, of course, we all know is a cornerstone of our democracy, and the role of a president in a moment of crisis. Mr. President, on January 6th, you told your supporters to march to the Capitol. You said you would be right there with them. The country and the world saw what played out at the Capitol that day, the officers coming under attack. Aides in the West Wing say you watched it unfold on television off the Oval Office. You did send out tweets, but it was more than 2 hours before you sent out that video message telling your supporters to go home. Is there anything you regret about what you did on that day?
You just said a thing that isn't covered. Peacefully and patriotically, I said during my speech, not later on. Peacefully and patriotically. And nobody on the other side was killed.
Right, that's what he said.
It was shot by an out-of-control police officer that should have never, ever shot her. It's a disgrace. But we didn't do this group of people that have been treated so badly. I ask, what about all the people that are pouring into our country and killing people that she allowed to pour in? She was the border czar. Remember that. She was the border czar. She doesn't want to be called the border czar because she's embarrassed by the border. In fact, she said at the beginning, "Oh, I'm surprised you're not talking about the border yet." That's because she knows what a bad job they've done. What about those people? When are they going to be prosecuted? When are these people from countries all over the world, not just South America? They're coming in from all over the world, David. All over the world, and crime rates are down all over the world because of it. But when are those, David? When are those people going to be prosecuted? When are the people that burned down Minneapolis going to be prosecuted? Or in Seattle, they went into Seattle. They took over a big percentage of the city of Seattle. When are those people going to be prosecuted?
But let me just ask.
You might ask her that question.
You were the president. You were watching it unfold on television. It's a very simple question as we move forward toward another election. Is there anything you regret about what you did on that day? Yes, sir.
I had nothing to do with that other than they asked me to make a speech. I showed up for a speech. I said, I think it's going to be big. I went to Nancy Pelosi and the mayor of Washington, D.C., and the mayor put it back in writing. As you know. I said, you know, this is going to be a very big rally or whatever you want to call it. And again, it wasn't done by me. It was done by others. I said, I'd like to give you 10,000 National Guard or soldiers. They rejected me. Nancy Pelosi rejected me. It was just 2 weeks ago. Her daughter has a tape of her saying she is fully responsible for what happened. They want to get rid of that tape. It would have never happened if Nancy Pelosi and the mayor of Washington did their jobs. I wasn't responsible for security. Nancy Pelosi was responsible. She didn't do her job.
The question about you as president, not about former Speaker Pelosi, but I do want Vice President Harris to respond here.
I was at the Capitol on January 6th. I was the vice president-elect. I was also an acting senator. I was there. And on that day, the president of the United States incited a violent mob to attack our nation's capital, to desecrate our nation's capital. On that day, 140 law enforcement officers were injured, and some died. And understand, the former president has been indicted and impeached for exactly that reason. But this is not an isolated
How the hell was he impeached? Shut the hell up.
Where there was a mob of people carrying
They'll
tiki
say
torches,
anything.
spewing anti-Semitic
If he's impeached, how in the hell is he running
what
now?
did the president then at the time say? There were fine people on each side. Let's remember that when it came to the Proud Boys, a militia, the president said, the former president said, stand back and stand by. So for everyone watching who remembers what January 6th was,
girl, who cares? We talking about the immigrants coming in now.
Back. Let's not go back. We're not going back.
Girl,
it's
yes
time
we
to
are.
Turn the page. And if that was a bridge too far for you, well, there is a place in our campaign for you.
Where?
To stand for country, to stand for our democracy, to stand for rule of law,
girl, you ain't saying
and
shit.
to end the chaos. And to end the approach that is about attacking the foundations of our democracy because you don't like the outcomes. And be clear on that point. Donald Trump, the candidate, has said in this election there will be a bloodbath if this and the outcome of this election is not to his liking.
Where did the black voice go?
Let's turn the page on this.
You better thank your mark off. Where that voice go?
For the future and not go backwards to the past.
Let me just follow up here.
It was a different term, and it was a term that related to energy because they have destroyed our energy business. That was where bloodbath was. Also, on Charlottesville, that story has been, as you would say, debunked.
She ain't talking about nothing, just a bunch of hoo-ha.
All of these people, they covered it. If they go an extra sentence, they will see it was perfect. It was debunked in almost every newspaper, but they still bring it up, just like they bring 2025 up. They bring all of this stuff up. I ask you this. You talk about the Capitol. Why are we allowing these millions of people to come through on the southern border? How come she's not doing anything? And I'll tell you what I would do, and I would be very proud to do it. I would say we would both leave this debate right now. I'd like to see her go down to
the
Washington,
damn border.
D.C. during this debate, because we're wasting a lot of time. Go down to, because she's been so bad, it's so ridiculous. Go down to Washington, D.C. and let her sign a bill to close up the border, because they have the right to do it. They don't need bills. They have the right to do it. The president of the United States, you'll get him out of bed, you'll wake him up at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, you say, come on down to the office, let's sign a bill. If he signs a bill that the border is closed, all he has to do is say it to the Border Patrol, who are phenomenal. If they do that, the border is closed.
Mr.
Those
President.
people are killing many people.
And
J6.
We talked immigration here tonight. I do want to focus on this next issue to both of you, because it really brings us this into focus.
I swear they are so
in these times
biased.
that we're living in. Mr. President, for 3.5 years after you lost the 2020 election, you repeatedly falsely claimed that you won, many times saying you won in a landslide. In the past couple of weeks leading up to this debate, you have said, quote, you lost by a whisker, that you, quote, didn't quite make it, that you came up a little bit short.
I said that?
Are you now acknowledging that you lost in 2020?
No, I don't acknowledge that at all.
But
I
you
said
did
that
say it.
sarcastically.
But
You know
those-
that. It was said, oh, we lost by a whisker. That was said sarcastically. Look, there's so much proof. All you have to do is look at it. And they should have sent it back to the legislatures for approval. I got almost 75 million votes, the most votes any sitting president has ever gotten. I was told if I got 63, which was what I got in 2016, you can't be beaten. The election, people should never be thinking about an election as fraudulent. We need two things. We need walls, and we have to have it. We have to have borders, and we have to have good elections. Our elections are bad. And a lot of these illegal immigrants coming in, they're trying to get them to vote. They can't even speak English. They don't even know what country they're in practically. And these people are trying to get them to vote. And that's why they're allowing them to come into our country.
I did watch all of these pieces of video. I didn't detect the sarcasm, lost by a whisker. We didn't quite make it. And we should just point out here as clarification, and you know this, you and your allies, 60 cases in front of many judges, many of them
No
Republican.
judge looked at it.
And said
They said we didn't have standing. That's the other thing. They said we didn't have standing, a technicality. Can you imagine a system where a person in an election doesn't have standing? The president of the United States doesn't have standing. That's how we lost. If you look at the facts, and I'd love to have you'll do a special on it. I'll show you Georgia, and I'll show you Wisconsin, and I'll show you Pennsylvania, and I'll show you. We have so many facts and statistics, but you know what? That doesn't matter, because we have to solve the problem that we have right now. That's old news. And the problem that we have right now is we have a nation in decline, and they have put it into decline. We have a nation that is dying, David.
Mr. President, thank you. Vice President Harris, you heard the president there tonight. He said he didn't say that he lost by a whisker, so he still believes he did not lose the election. That was won by President Biden and yourself. But I do want to ask you about something that's come up in the last couple of days. This was a post from President Trump about this upcoming election just weeks away. He said, when I win, those people who cheated, and then he lists donors, voters, election officials, he says will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law, which will include long-term prison sentences. One of your campaign's top lawyers responded saying, we won't let Donald Trump intimidate us. We won't let him suppress the vote. Is that what you believe he's trying to do here?
Donald Trump was fired by 81 million people. So let's be clear about that. And clearly he is having a very difficult time processing that. But we cannot afford to have a president of the United States who attempts, as he did in the past, to upend the will of the voters in a free and fair election. And I'm going to tell you that I have traveled the world as Vice President of the United States. And
well, why you haven't been to the border?
I have talked with military leaders, some of whom worked with you, and they say you're a disgrace. And when you then talk in this way in a presidential debate and deny what over and over again are court cases you have lost because you did in fact lose that election, it leads one to believe that perhaps we do not have in the candidate to my right the temperament or the ability to not be confused about fact. That's deeply troubling, and the American people deserve better.
I'll give you 1 minute to respond, Mr. President.
Let me just say about world leaders. Viktor Orban, one of the most respected men, they call him a strong man. He's a tough person, smart. Prime Minister of Hungary. They said, why is the whole world blowing up? 3 years ago.
Whatever,
they said,
Jesus. We worrying about the illegals coming through here. You must be one of them.
Trump back as president. They were afraid of him. China was afraid, and I don't like to use the word afraid, but I'm just quoting him. China was afraid of him. North Korea was afraid of him. Look at what's going on with North Korea, by the way. He said Russia was afraid of him. I ended the Nord Stream 2 pipeline, and Biden put it back on day one, but he ended the XL pipeline. The XL pipeline in our country, he ended that. But he let the Russians build a pipeline going all over Europe and heading into Germany, the biggest pipeline in the world. Look, Viktor Orban said it. He said the most respected, most feared person is Donald Trump. We had no problems when Trump was president. But when this weak, pathetic man that you saw at a debate just a few months ago,
right.
If he weren't in that debate, he'd be running instead of her. She got no votes. He got 14 million votes. What you did, you talk about a threat to democracy. He got 14 million votes, and they threw him out of office.
Right, and she got no votes.
He hates her. He can't stand her. But he got 14 million votes. They threw him out. She got 0 votes. And when she ran, she was the first one to leave because she failed. And now she's running. I don't understand it, but I'm okay with it because
your time is
I think
up.
we're going to do very well.
We've got a lot more to get to.
Turning now to
Well, let's get to
war and the hostages who are still being held, Americans among them. Vice President Harris.
Those hostages dead.
Said, quote, Israel has a right to defend itself, but you added, quote, it matters how, saying international humanitarian.
My great-great-grandmother was a Indian. She wasn't an immigrant, so I don't know what you need to do. I know my lineage.
Are dead. Nearly 100 hostages remain. Just last week,
Where I
Prime
came
Minister
from.
Netanyahu said there's not a deal in the making. President Biden has not been able to break through the stalemate.
Is there some
How would
broccoli
you
in
do
the freezer? What you mean? What else we need?
Let's understand how we got here. On October
I was
7th,
gonna put some broccoli in the Alfredo if we got some. I mean,
a
if we don't.
terrorist organization
For nothing. What you mean? You said
slaughtered 1,200 Israelis. Many of them young people who were simply attending a concert.
I'm gonna
Women
let that
were
comment come
horribly
through so somebody can respond. My
And so
grandparents wasn't
absolutely,
immigrants.
I said then, I
Sorry.
say now.
My
Israel
grandparents.
has a right to defend
What you
itself. We
talking
would.
about? How old do you
And
think
how
I
it
am?
does so matters. Because it is also true, far too many innocent Palestinians have been killed. Children, mothers. What we know is that this war must end. It must end immediately.
Are you American,
And
Jesus?
the way it will end is we need a ceasefire deal and we need the hostages out. And so we will continue to work around the clock on that. Work around the clock, also understanding that we must chart a course for a two-state solution. And in that solution, there must be security for the Israeli people
Then
and Israel,
you shouldn't
and
be
an
voting for
equal
her
measure
then
for
if
the
you are.
Palestinians. But the one thing I will assure you always, I will
You
always
must
give Israel the ability
became
to
an
defend
American.
itself, in particular
Yeah.
as it relates to Iran and any threat that Iran and its proxies pose to Israel. But we must have a two-state solution where we can rebuild Gaza, where the Palestinians have security, self-determination, and the dignity they so rightly deserve.
President Trump, how would you negotiate with Netanyahu and also Hamas in order to get the hostages out and prevent the killing of more innocent civilians in Gaza?
If I were president, it would have never started. If I were president, Russia would have never, ever, I know Putin very well, he would have never, and there was no threat of it either, by the way, for 4 years, have gone into Ukraine and killed millions of people.
Millions of people.
Far worse than people understand what's going on over there. But when she mentions about Israel, all of a sudden, she hates Israel. She wouldn't even meet with Netanyahu when he went to Congress to make a very important speech. She refused to be there because she was at a sorority party of hers. She wanted to go to the sorority party. She hates Israel.
To the AKA.
If she's president, I believe that Israel will not exist within 2 years from now. And I
Can
can
y'all
put it in
give
predictions, and I hope I'm wrong about that one. She hates Israel. At the same time, in her own way, she hates the Arab population because the whole place is going to get blown up. Arabs, Jewish people, Israel will be gone. It would have never happened. Iran was broke under Donald Trump. Now Iran has $300 billion because they took
of
off
our
all the
money
sanctions that I had. Iran had no money for Hamas or Hezbollah or any of the 28 different spheres of terror. And they are spheres of terror, horrible terror. They had no money. It was a big story, and you know it. You covered it very well, actually. They had no money for terror. They were broke. Now they're a rich nation, and now what they're doing is they're spreading that money around. Look at what's happening with the Houthis and Yemen. Look at what's going on in the Middle East. This would have never happened. I will get that settled and fast, and I'll get the war with Ukraine and Russia ended. If I'm president-elect, I'll get it done before even becoming president.
Vice President Harris, he says you hate Israel.
That's absolutely not true. I have my entire career and life supported Israel and the Israeli people. He knows that. He's trying to, again, divide and distract from the reality, which is it is very well known that Donald Trump is weak and wrong on national security and foreign policy. It is well known that he admires dictators, wants to be a dictator on day one, according to himself. It is well known that he said of Putin that he can do whatever the hell he wants and go into Ukraine. It is well known that he said when Russia went into Ukraine, it was brilliant. It is
right,
well
she ain't
known
laughing tonight, huh?
love letters with Kim Jong-un, and it is absolutely well known that these dictators and autocrats are rooting for you to be president again because they're so clear. They can manipulate you with flattery and favors. And that is why so many military leaders who you have worked with have told me you are a disgrace. That is why we understand that we have to have a president who is not consistently weak and wrong on national security, including the importance of upholding and respecting in highest regard our military.
Vice President Harris, thank you.
And she's the one that caused it. That's weak on national security by allowing every nation last month for the year, 168 different countries sending people into our country. Their crime rates are way down. Putin endorsed her last week, said, I hope she wins. And I think he meant it because what he's gotten away with is absolutely incredible. It wouldn't have happened with me. The leaders of other countries think that they're weak and incompetent, and they are. They're grossly incompetent. And I just ask one question. Why does Biden go in and kill the Keystone Pipeline and approve the single biggest deal that Russia's ever made, Nord Stream 2, the biggest pipeline anywhere in the world going to Germany and all over Europe? Because they're weak and they're ineffective. And Biden, by the way, gets paid a lot of money.
Thank you. We have a lot of issues to get to.
We'll be right back with much more of this historic ABC News presidential debate from the National Constitution Center right here in Philadelphia. Back in a moment.
The ABC News presidential debate will continue after this. Why has America accepted the wait for payday when life doesn't wait for you to get paid? Introducing MyPay from Chime, a revolutionary new way of getting your pay when you want. Get up to $500 of your pay before payday. No interest, no credit check, no mandatory fee.
I don't want to hear no commercials. We'll be back. Why not bring your here? I'm cooking them. So what y'all think about the debate so far? Because all I hear is a lot of BS from her. And they keep on, like it was one part the man gonna say that There's no state in America where you can abort a baby after. Okay, well, y'all need to start reading bills. Why? Well, you want to be coded.
I don't know about all
Okay.
This way.
You got the tone?
I said I bust one of them little pets up. Come to work. These right here.
Let me see if the debate back on. We're making Alfredo. Chicken Alfredo. Broccoli. Down and put it in.
What is this thing?
Want us to move them around a little bit? Okay, I think the debate back on.
Mr. President, it has been the position of the Biden administration that we must defend Ukraine from Russia, from Vladimir Putin, to defend their sovereignty, their democracy, that it's in America's best interest to do so, arguing that if Putin wins, he may be emboldened to move even further into other countries. You have said you would solve this war in 24 hours. You said so just before the break tonight. How exactly would you do that? And I want to ask you a very simple question tonight. Do you want Ukraine to win this war?
I want the war to stop. I want to save lives that are being uselessly, people being killed by the millions. It's the millions. It's so much worse than the numbers that you're getting, which are fake numbers. Look, we're in for 250 billion or more because they don't ask Europe, which is a much bigger beneficiary to getting this thing done than we are. They're in for $150 billion less because Biden and you don't have the courage to ask Europe like I did with NATO. They paid billions and billions, hundreds of billions of dollars when I said, either you pay up or we're not going to protect you anymore. So that's maybe one of the reasons they don't like me as much as they like weak people. But you take a look at what's happening. We're in for 250 to 275 billion. They're into 100 to 150. They should be forced to equalize. With that being said, I want to get the war settled. I know Zelensky very well, and I know Putin very well. I have a good relationship, and they respect your president, okay? They respect me. They don't respect Biden. How would you respect him? Why? For what reason? He hasn't even made a phone call in 2 years to Putin, hasn't spoken to anybody. They don't even try and get it. That is a war that's dying to be settled. I will get it settled before I even become president. If I win, when I'm president-elect, and what I'll do is I'll speak to one, I'll speak to the other, I'll get them together. That war would have never happened. And in fact, when I saw Putin after I left, unfortunately left because our country has gone to hell. But after I left, when I saw him building up soldiers, he did it after I left. I said, oh,
right,
he must
Rhonda.
be negotiating. It must be a good, strong point of negotiation. Well, it wasn't, because Biden had no idea how to talk to him. He had no idea how to stop it. And now you have millions of people dead, and it's only getting worse, and it could lead to World War III. Don't kid yourself, David. We're playing with World War III, and we have a president that we don't even know if he's... Where is our president? We don't even know if he's a president.
And just to clarify
They threw him out of a campaign like a dog. We don't even know. Is he our president? But we have a president,
Mr. President,
that doesn't know he's alive.
Your time is up. Just to clarify the question, do you believe it's in the U.S. best interest for Ukraine to win this war, yes or no?
I think it's the U.S. best interest to get this war finished and just get it done.
All right.
Negotiate a deal, because we have to stop all of these human lives from being destroyed.
I want to take this to Vice President Harris. I want to get your thoughts on support for Ukraine in this moment, but also as Commander-in-Chief, if elected, how would you deal with Vladimir Putin, and would it be any different from what we're seeing from President Biden?
Well, first of all, it's important to remind the former president you're not running against Joe Biden, you're running against me.
Girl, bye.
I believe the reason that Donald Trump says that this war would be over within 24 hours is because he would just give it up. And that's not who we are as Americans. Let's understand what happened here. I actually met with Zelensky a few days before Russia invaded, tried through force to change territorial boundaries, to defy one of the most important international rules and norms, which is the importance of sovereignty and territorial integrity. And I met with President Zelensky. I shared with him American intelligence about how he could defend himself. Days later, I went to NATO's eastern flank, to Poland and Romania.
When you going to the border?
The work that I and others did, we brought 50 countries together to support Ukraine in its righteous defense. And because of our support, because of the air defense, the ammunition, the artillery, the javelins, the Abrams tanks that we have provided, Ukraine stands as an independent and free country. If Donald Trump were president, Putin would be sitting in Kyiv right now. And understand what that would mean, because Putin's agenda...
It would mean us Americans to have a lot more money in our pocket.
Understand why the European allies and our NATO allies are so thankful that you are no longer president.
Oh, yeah.
And that we understand the importance of the greatest military alliance the world has ever known, which is NATO, and what we have done to preserve the ability of Zelensky and the Ukrainians to fight for their independence. Otherwise, Putin would be sitting in Kyiv with his eyes on the rest of Europe, starting with Poland. And why don't you tell the 800,000 Polish Americans right here in Pennsylvania how quickly you would give up for the sake of favor and what you think is a friendship.
What's the 800 people here in Polish got to do with the ones over there in Poland? Girl, bye. Shut up.
Vice President Harris, thank you. We've heard from both of you on Ukraine tonight. Afghanistan came up in the last hour. I wanted her to respond to something you said earlier, and I'll give you a minute here.
Putin would be sitting in Moscow, and he wouldn't have lost 300,000 men and women, but he would have been sitting in Moscow. Quiet, please.
Be quiet, Kamala.
In Moscow, much happier than he is right now. But eventually, you know, he's got a thing that other people don't have. He's got nuclear weapons. They don't ever talk about that. He's got nuclear weapons. Nobody ever thinks about that. And eventually,
yeah, I don't like that.
Maybe he'll use them, and maybe he hasn't been that threatening, but he does have that. Something we don't even like to talk about. Nobody likes to talk about it. But just so you understand, they sent her to negotiate peace before this war started. 3 days later, he went in and he started the war because everything they said was weak and stupid. They said the wrong things. That war should have never started. She was the emissary. They sent her in to negotiate with Zelensky and Putin, and she did. and the war started 3 days later. And that's the kind of talent we have with her. She's worse than Biden. In my opinion, I think he's the worst president in the history of our country. She goes down as the worst vice president in the history of our country. But let me tell you something. She is a horrible negotiator. They sent her in to negotiate. As soon as they left, Putin did the invasion.
President Trump, thank you. You did bring up something. You said she went to negotiate with Vladimir Putin. Vice President Harris, have you ever met Vladimir Putin? Can you clarify tonight?
Yet again, I said at the beginning of this debate, you're going to hear a bunch of lies coming from this fellow. And that is another one. When I went to meet with President Zelensky, I've now met with him over 5 times. The reality is it has been about standing as America always should, as a leader upholding international rules and norms, as a leader who shows strength, understanding that the alliances we have around the world are dependent on our ability to look out for our friends and not favor our enemies because you adore strongmen instead of caring about democracy. And that is very much what is at stake here. The President of the United States is Commander-in-Chief, and the American people have a right to rely on a president who understands the significance of America's role and responsibility in terms of ensuring that there is stability and ensuring we stand up for our principles and not sell them for the benefit of personal flattery.
You talked about Ukraine and Vladimir Putin. I do want to talk about Afghanistan. It came up in the first hour of this debate. I want to move on to Afghanistan.
Said that's the most amazing thing I've ever seen. We've got these countries, the 28 countries at the time, to pay up. He said, I've never seen. He's the head of NATO. He said, I've never seen. For years, we were paying almost all of NATO. We were being ripped off by European nations, both on trade and on NATO. I got them to pay up by saying, one of the statements you made before, if you don't pay, we're not going to protect you. Otherwise, we would have never gotten it. He said it was one of the most incredible jobs that he's ever seen done.
Thank you. I want to turn to Afghanistan. It came up in the first hour of the debate, and we witnessed a poignant moment today on Capitol Hill, honoring the soldiers who died in the chaotic withdrawal from Afghanistan. I do want to ask the Vice President, do you believe you bear any responsibility in the way that withdrawal played out?
Well, I will tell you, I agreed with President Biden's decision to pull out of Afghanistan. 4 presidents said they would, and Joe Biden did. And as a result, America's taxpayers are not paying the $300 million a day we were paying for that endless war. And as of today, there is not one member of the United States military who is in active duty in a combat zone in any war zone around the world, the first time this century. But let's understand how we got to where we are. Donald Trump, when he was president, negotiated one of the weakest deals you can imagine. He calls himself a deal maker. Even his national security advisor said it was a weak, terrible deal. And here's how it went down. He bypassed the Afghan government. He negotiated directly with a terrorist organization called the Taliban. The negotiation involved the Taliban getting 5,000 Taliban terrorists released. And get this. And the president at the time invited the Taliban to Camp David, a place of storied significance for us as Americans, a place where we honor the importance of American diplomacy, where we invite and receive respected world leaders. And this former president, as president, invited them to Camp David because he does not, again, appreciate the role and responsibility of the President of the United States to be Commander-in-Chief with a level of respect. And this gets back to the point of how he has consistently disparaged and demeaned members of our military, fallen soldiers, and the work that we must do to uphold the strength and the respect of the United States of America around the world.
Vice President Harris, thank you. President Trump, your response to her saying that you began the negotiations with the Taliban.
So, if you take a look at that period of time, the Taliban was killing our soldiers, a lot of them, with snipers. And I got involved with the Taliban because the Taliban was doing the killing. That's the fighting force within Afghanistan. They don't bother doing that because, they deal with the wrong people all the time. But I got involved. And Abdul was the head of the Taliban. He is still the head of the Taliban. And I told Abdul, don't do it anymore. You do it anymore, you're going to have problems. And he said, why do you send me a picture of my house? I said, you're going to have to figure that out, Abdul. And for 18 months, we had nobody killed. We did have an agreement negotiated by Mike Pompeo. It was a very good agreement. The reason it was good, we were getting out. We would have been out faster than that, but we wouldn't have lost the soldiers. We wouldn't have left many Americans behind, and we wouldn't have left $85 billion worth of brand new, beautiful military equipment behind. And just to finish, they blew it. The agreement said you have to do this, and they didn't do it. They didn't do it. The agreement was terminated by us because they didn't do what they were supposed to do.
I want to move on.
And these people did the worst withdrawal, and in my opinion, the most embarrassing moment in the history of our country. And by the way, that's why Russia attacked Ukraine, because they saw how incompetent she and her boss are.
President Trump, thank you. I want to move on now to race and politics in this country. Mr. President, you recently said of Vice President Harris, quote, I didn't know she was black until a number of years ago when she happened to turn black, and now she wants to be known as black. I want to ask a bigger picture question here tonight. Why do you believe it's appropriate to weigh in on the racial identity of your opponent?
I don't, and I don't care. I don't care what she is. I don't care. You make a big deal out of something. I couldn't care less. Whatever she wants to be is okay with me.
But those were your words. So
I don't know. I mean, all I can say is I read where she was knocked out, that she put out, and I'll say that. And then I read that she was black, and that's okay. Either one was okay with me. That's up to her. That's up to her.
Vice President Harris, your thoughts on this?
I think honestly, I think it's a tragedy that we have someone who wants to be president who has consistently, over the course of his career, attempted to use race to divide the American people. I do believe that the vast majority of us know that we have so much more in common than what separates us, and we don't want this kind of approach that is just constantly trying to divide us, and especially by race. And let's remember how Donald Trump started. He was he owned buildings, and he was investigated because...
Girl, don't try to use that he trying to divide us by race, because no.
To black families.
That's what you're trying to do.
Remember, this is the same individual who took out a full-page ad in the New York Times calling for the execution of 5 young black and Latino boys who were innocent, the Central Park 5.
Girl.
Took out a full-page ad calling for their execution. This is the same individual who spread birther lies about the first black president of the United States. And I think the American people want better than that, want better than this, want someone who understands, as I do. I travel our country.
But you haven't been to the border.
We see in each other a friend. We see in each other a neighbor. We don't want a leader who is constantly trying to have Americans point their fingers at each other. I meet with people all the time who tell me, can we please just have discourse about how we're going to invest in the aspirations and the ambitions and the dreams of the American people?
Oh, my God.
Knowing that regardless of people's color or the language their grandmother speaks, we all have the same dreams and aspirations and want a president who invests in those, not in hate and division.
Vice President Harris, thank you. Lindsay?
President Trump, this is now your 3rd time.
This is the most divisive presidency in the history of our country.
Right.
There's never been anything like it. They're destroying our country, and they come up with things like what she just said. Going back many, many years, well, a lot of people, including Mayor Bloomberg, agreed with me on the Central Park 5. They admitted, they pled guilty. And I said, well, if they pled guilty, they badly hurt a person, killed a person ultimately. And if they pled guilty, then they pled not guilty. But this is a person that has to stretch back years, 40, 50 years ago, because there's nothing now. I built one of the greatest economies in the history of the world, and I'm going to build it again. It's going to be bigger, better, and stronger. But they're destroying our economy. They have no idea what a good economy is. Their oil policies, every single policy. And remember this, she is Biden. You know, she's trying to get away from Biden. I don't know the gentleman, she says. She is Biden. The worst inflation we've ever had, a horrible economy because inflation has made it so bad, and she can't get away with that.
Time's up.
Briefly. Clearly, I am not Joe Biden, and I am certainly not Donald Trump. And what I do offer is a new generation of leadership for our country. One who believes in what is possible, one who brings a sense of optimism about what we can do instead of always disparaging the American people. I believe in what we can do to strengthen our small businesses, which is why I have a plan. Let's talk about our plans and let's compare the plans. I have a plan to give startup businesses $50,000 tax deduction to pursue their ambitions, their innovation, their ideas, their hard work. I have a plan, $6,000 for young families for the first year of your child's life to help you in that most critical stage of your child's development. I have a plan that is about allowing people to be able to pursue what has been fleeting in terms of the American dream by offering a help with down payment of $25,000 down payment assistance for first-time home buyers. That's the kind of conversation, I believe, David, that people really want tonight, as opposed to a conversation that is constantly about belittling and name-calling. Let's turn the page
Vice President
and move
Harris,
forward.
thank you. Let's turn to policy.
President Trump, we have to move on. President Trump.
Let's turn to policy,
She has
please.
a plan to defund the police. She has a plan to confiscate everybody's gun.
President Trump,
She
we
has
do
a
have to
plan
move on
to
to
not
other
allow
issues.
fracking in Pennsylvania or anywhere else.
Okay.
That's what her plan is until just recently.
I just need to
President
respond.
Trump,
No, the
President
former
Trump.
president has
No,
said
I'm
something
sorry.
twice that I need to respond
No,
to.
I'm sorry. We're
I just need
gonna
to
move
respond
on, Vice
one
President
time
Harris.
to what he has
President
said
Trump, this
multiple
is now your
Yes.
third time running for president. You have long vowed to repeal and replace the Affordable Care Act, also known as Obamacare. You have failed to accomplish that. You now say you're going to keep Obamacare, quote, unless we can do something much better. Last month, you said, quote, we're working on it. So tonight, 9 years after you first started running, do you have a plan, and can you tell us what it is?
Obamacare was lousy health care, always was. It's not very good today. And what I said, that if we come up with something, and we are working on things, we're going to do it and we're going to replace it. But remember this, I inherited Obamacare because Democrats wouldn't change it. They wouldn't vote for it. They were unanimous. They wouldn't vote to change it. If they would have done that, we would have had a much better plan than Obamacare. But the Democrats came up, they wouldn't vote for it. I had a choice to make when I was president. Do I save it and make it as good as it can be, never going to be great, or do I let it rot? And I felt I had an obligation, even though politically it would have been good to just let it rot and let it go away. I decided, and I told my people, the top people, and they're very good people. I have a lot of good people in that administration. We read about the bad ones. We had some real bad ones too, and so do they. They have really bad ones. The difference is they don't get rid of them. But let me just explain. I had a choice to make. Do I save it and make it as good as it can be, or do I let it rot? And I saved it. I did the right thing. But it's still never going to be great, and it's too expensive for people. And what we will do is we're looking at different plans. If we can come up with a plan that's going to cost our people, our population, less money and be better health care than Obamacare, then I would absolutely do it. But until then, I'd run it as good as it can be run.
So just a yes or no, you still do not have a plan?
I have concepts of a plan. I'm not president right now. But
right, you heard him. He's not president right now. She vice president.
Only change it if we come up with something that's better and less expensive. And there are concepts and
ask her what
options
she gonna do,
we
because she
have
president now,
to do that.
vice president.
And you'll be hearing about it in the not too distant future.
Vice President Harris, in 2017, you supported Bernie Sanders' proposal to do away with private insurance and create a government-run healthcare system. 2 years later, you proposed a plan that included a private insurance option. What is your plan today?
Well, first of all, I absolutely support, and over the last 4 years as vice president, private healthcare options. But what we need to do is maintain and grow the Affordable Care Act. But I'll get to that, Lindsay. I just need to respond to a previous point that the former president has made. I've made very clear my position on fracking, and then this business about taking everyone's guns away. Tim Walz and I are both gun owners. We're not taking anybody's guns away, so stop with the continuous lying about this stuff. As it relates to the Affordable Care Act,
just because you don't take your guns away don't mean you ain't taking ours.
When Donald Trump was president, 60 times he tried to get rid of the Affordable Care Act. 60 times. I was a senator at the time when I will never forget the early morning hours when it was up for a vote in the United States Senate. And the late, great John McCain, who you have disparaged as being, you don't like him, you said, at the time because he got caught. He was an American hero. The late, great John McCain, I will never forget that night, walked onto the Senate floor and said, no, you don't. No, you don't. No, you don't get rid of the Affordable Care Act. You have no plan. And what the Affordable Care Act has done is eliminate the ability of insurance companies to deny people with pre-existing conditions. I don't have to tell the people watching tonight, you remember what that was like? Remember when an insurance company could deny if a child had asthma, if someone was a breast cancer survivor, if a grandparent had diabetes?
They still denying. The hell you talking about?
I've been vice president, and we, over the last 4 years, have strengthened the Affordable Care Act. We have allowed, for the first time, Medicare to negotiate drug prices on behalf of you, the American people. Donald Trump said he was going to allow Medicare to negotiate
my daughter and them insurance decline everything. Got to get a referral for every damn thing.
Since I've been vice president, we have capped the cost of prescription medication.
She turned 11. It stopped when she turned 10. We have to call in authorization.
We will do that for all people, understanding that the value I bring to this is that access to health care should be a right and not just a privilege of those who can afford it. And the plan has to be to strengthen the Affordable Care Act, not get rid of it.
Vice President Harris,
in terms of where Donald Trump stands on that.
I want to move to an issue that's important for a lot of...
She made a mistake. Number one, John McCain fought Obamacare for 10 years. But it wasn't only him. It was all of the Democrats that kept it going. And you know what? We can do much better than Obamacare. Much less money. But she won't improve private insurance for people, private medical insurance. That's another thing she doesn't want to get. People are paying privately for insurance that have worked hard and made money, and they want to have private. She wants everybody to be on government insurance where you wait 6 months for an operation that you need immediately.
President Trump, thank you. We have another issue that we'd like to get to that's important for a number of Americans, in particular younger voters, and that's climate change. President Trump, with regard to the environment, you say that we have to have clean air and clean water. Vice President Harris, you call climate change an existential threat. The question to you both tonight is, what would you do to fight climate change? And Vice President Harris, we'll start with you. 1 minute for you each.
Well, the former president had said that climate change is a hoax. And what we know is that it is very real. You ask anyone who lives in a state who has experienced these extreme weather occurrences, who now is either being denied home insurance or is being jacked up. You ask anybody who has been the victim of what that means in terms of losing their home, having nowhere to go.
She just said the same thing, just in different words.
We can actually deal with this issue. The young people of America care deeply about this issue. And I am proud that as vice president over the last 4 years, we have invested $1 trillion in a clean energy economy, while we have also increased domestic gas production to historic levels. We have created over 800,000 new manufacturing jobs while I have been vice president. We have invested in clean energy to the point that we are opening up factories around the world. Donald Trump said he was going to create manufacturing jobs. He lost manufacturing jobs. And I'm also proud to have the endorsement of the United Auto Workers and Sean Fain, who also know that part of building a clean energy economy includes investing in American-made products, American automobiles. It includes growing what we can do around American manufacturing and opening up auto plants, not closing them like happened under Donald Trump.
Funny how you keep on talking about Americans, but you ain't done nothing for Americans.
10,000 manufacturing jobs this last month. They're all leaving. They're building big auto plants in Mexico, in many cases owned by China. They're building these massive plants, and they think they're going to sell their cars into the United States because of these people. What they have given to China is unbelievable. But we're not going to let that. We'll put tariffs on those cars so they can't come into our country, because they will kill the United Auto Workers and any auto worker, whether it's in Detroit or South Carolina or any other place. What they've done to business and manufacturing in this country is horrible. We have nothing because they refuse. You know, Biden doesn't go after people because supposedly China paid him millions of dollars. He's afraid to do it.
Yeah.
Between him and his son, they get all this money from Ukraine. They get all this money from all of these different countries. And then you wonder, why is he so loyal to this one, that one, Ukraine, China? Why is he? Why did he get $3.5 million from the mayor of Moscow's wife? Why did she pay him $3.5 million? This is a crooked administration.
Yeah.
And they're
Oh,
selling our
said
country
Trump.
down the tubes.
President Trump, thank you.
Crooked.
Thank you.
We'll be right back with closing statements from both of our candidates. An historic night, this ABC News presidential debate from Philadelphia. Back in a moment.
Yeah, back in a moment. Yeah.
The ABC News.
He is right, and I'm so glad he said it right there. This is a crooked administration. It is.
They place right here. There's a couple of those.
All right.
Why has America accepted the wait for pay?
Crooked. I see the poll. Trump winning 64%, Kamala 36%. Right, we know. I end the poll at the end.
Yeah, I said then I can take a bath when I get done.
All right.
Come here, you ready to eat? Girl, come here.
Any thoughts? Thanks for time for my Zoom. Shiloh. Why ain't nobody coming? Okay, y'all, they back. We back. We back. Oh, I think we back. No, it's not back yet.
What you want? Coke? Huh?
Yeah, this the real score. Trump 65, Kamala 35. Like, she is not They got on this website, Harris 41%, Trump 44%. You're right. Y'all don't go on with these biased polls that y'all have on these news outlets. It seems like she have the news outlets. She got Hollywood. She got, the sororities. Because they want to see their sister in there. Like, honey, whatever. Tell her to give my college roommate, Dr. Hadil Green, $10 million so she can start human trials on the cure that she found in human cancer in mice that cures the tumor, that makes the tumor disappear in 15 days with no radiation, no chemo, no side effects. How about that? And she's also a Delta. And she also graduated from a HBCU, Alabama A&M University. And she's the 76th doctor to have a person, female, to have a doctorate in physics in the world. But she can't get $10 million to start human trials to save the 14 million people that die from cancer every year. The people that are told there's nothing more we can do for you. The people that are sent home to live their last little moments with their family. Those people. But they can raise $40 million for Kamala in 40 minutes. And she still haven't told us nothing that she's going to do for us. All she keep on talking about is what Trump not doing.
Tonight, two very different visions for our country. One that is focused on the future, and the other that is focused on the past.
Girl,
in an attempt to take us backward. But we're not going back. And I do believe that the American people know
this we're not going back is so stupid, because we are going back to Trump, because we've been fooled by y'all for 35 years.
A vision of that includes having a plan, understanding the aspirations, the dreams, the hopes, the ambition of the American people, which is why I intend to create an opportunity economy, investing in small businesses, in new families, in what we can do around protecting seniors.
What about the old families?
What we can do that is about giving hardworking folks a break and bringing down the cost of living.
Girl, bring it down now.
In what we can do together, that is about sustaining America's standing in the world and ensuring that we have the respect that we so rightly deserve, including respecting our military and ensuring we have the most lethal fighting force in the world. I will be a president that will protect our fundamental rights and freedoms, including the right of a woman to make decisions about her own body and not have her government tell her what to do.
How you saying that when the government, when Roe versus Wade was in?
I was an attorney general, a United States senator, and now vice president. I've only had one client, the people. And I'll tell you, as a prosecutor, I never asked a victim or a witness, are you a Republican or a Democrat? The only thing I ever asked them, are you okay? And that's the kind of president we need right now.
But you sending somebody to 50 years for a murder they didn't commit.
First, I intend to be president for all Americans and focus on what we can do over the next 10 and 20 years to build back up our country by investing right now in you, the American people.
Vice President Harris, thank you. President Trump?
So she just started by saying she's going to do this, she's going to do that, she's going to do all these wonderful things.
Right.
Why hasn't she done it? She's been there for 3.5 years. They've had 3.5 years to fix the border. They've had 3.5 years to create jobs and all the things we talked about. Why hasn't she done it? She should leave right now, go down to that beautiful White House, go to the Capitol, get everyone together and do the things you want to do, but you haven't done it, and you won't do it because you believe in things that the American people don't believe in. You believe in things like, we're not going to frack, we're not going to take fossil fuel, we're not going to do things that are going to make this country strong, whether you like it or not. Germany tried that, and within 1 year, they were back to building normal energy plants. We're not ready for it. We can't sacrifice our country for the sake of bad vision. But I just ask one simple question. Why didn't she do it? We're a failing nation. We're a nation that's in serious decline. We're being laughed at all over the world. All over the world, they're laughing. I know the leaders very well. They're coming to see me. They call me. We're laughed at all over the world. They don't understand what happened to us as a nation. We're not a leader. We don't have any idea what's going on. We have wars going on in the Middle East. We have wars going on with Russia and Ukraine. We're going to end up in a third world war, and it'll be a war like no other because of nuclear weapons, the power of weaponry. I rebuilt our entire military. She gave a lot of it away to the Taliban. She gave it to Afghanistan. What these people have done to our country, and maybe toughest of all, is allowing millions of people to come into our country. Many of them are criminals, and they're destroying our country. The worst president, the worst vice president in the history of our country.
President Trump, thank you. And that is our ABC News presidential debate from here in Philadelphia at the National Constitution Center. I'm Lindsay Davis.
And I'm David Muir. Thank you for watching here in the U.S. and all over the world, and from all of us here at ABC News. Good night.
All right, y'all. So what y'all got to say?
And we are here live on ABC with our post-debate comments. I'm Martha Raddatz.
Let's see what the post-debate comments. Let's see what they're going to be talking about. BS. BS. Let me go to Benny and see what Benny talking about. Because, baby... Let me go. Benny did a Trump. I said Benny did a Trump. Benny had a thing. 41,000 people voted on Benny thing. Why 94% said Trump won and 6% said Kamala won? Think I'm lying. Let me tell y'all.
Allegations made back and forth doing fact checks. You can find all of that on abcnews.com. But
yeah, we're going to fact check everything. Let me go to Benny real quick. Somebody said those moderators was a disaster. They was biased. Same thing I said in favor of Kamala. Same thing I was saying. I was noticing that.
Kamala Harris was able to get away with multiple total and complete fabrications.
Lies.
From Project 2025 to fracking to the Very Fine People hoax. And people said nothing. Nothing. The moderators said nothing.
Right.
Moderators called timeout to huddle and discuss strategy with Kamala Harris. Oh man. What a complete and total freaking mess.
Right, like I knew this was a damn. Thought they was gonna set him up.
Campaign managers to be fired. Other people are sharing ABC moderator Donald Trump.
They play too much, y'all. Look at this. These is funny.
I'll take a step back here from the Kamala Harris gun. Yeah, that's right. Kamala Harris says she has a gun.
All right, talking about I got a gun.
Kamala Harris says she has a gun, and now people are saying it's a tied race. What is
Get the hell out of here?
Question about the soaring national debt, the rising cost of servicing the debt, out of control entitlement spending, high inflation, rising unemployment, record consumer debt, record low savings, explosion of moonlighting. Goodness gracious.
They didn't mention nothing.
It's amazing. I mean, it is just grotesque. Here we go. Kamala Harris promises mandatory government gun buybacks with the Second Amendment. Kamala Harris, multiple times, has promised that she's going to ban your guns. Yeah, ABC didn't have a single fact check on that. Nothing. Kamala Harris says, I own a gun. What gun do you own? The gall of ABC.
This is crazy, y'all.
While letting her lie is so infuriating. Truly infuriating. ABC agreed on the deal to mute the microphones. Harris's mic is not muted. Trump's is muted, and ABC is slow to switch it on when he begins.
Right. I told y'all.
Goodness. Here we go.
Yep, this is what it was. This was it. Them three against Trump. This is it.
I wasn't asked to help Trump debate. I'm never going to lie to you and say I'm some kind of like really super close friend of Donald Trump.
I'm sure not. I don't know the man.
And their families, and we love them. They're close friends of us, and they're on the program.
I know he was played, but he still got him.
By saying 2 or 3 quick things. One, this isn't a loss for President Trump, and I don't think this is a win for Kamala Harris. I think that, quite frankly, Donald Trump was expecting Joe Biden. Was expecting somebody who was just going to collapse. Kamala Harris didn't collapse, but she didn't do anything. She didn't say anything. All the zingers belonged to Trump. All the energy belonged to Trump. But there's enough here. I just want to tell you what's going to happen. There's enough here because of the moderators. Why do Republicans keep allowing for this? Look at this. Why do Republicans keep allowing for this style of a debate? Why? Why? Like sheep to slaughter. There's enough here for the corporate media to squeeze little driplets and droplets to keep Kamala alive for the next couple of weeks.
Yeah.
I think the conference probably need another debate, actually. I don't think it's going to really move the needle. I think
she ain't winning in my chat or yours either.
A little. We'll see. But like, did this convince anybody to not vote for Trump or to vote for Kamala?
No,
of course not. Kamala was rehearsed and inauthentic and naggy and cringy and nervous. You could hear her licking her lips. You hear her catching her breath. And you can hear her like pausing quite a bit and like repeating her talking points.
Right.
None of it seemed authentic.
None of it.
But President Trump, I'll say this. President Trump, I will happily help you prepare for your next debate for free. Don't you worry. Your boy Benny's got you. Here's the things that I wanted to see from President Trump. I want to see President Trump go, you know what? I want to begin this debate by actually giving my time to Kamala Harris. Kamala, why did you cover up Joe Biden's mental handicaps for so long? How long have you known about Joe Biden? Go. And then you stuff up.
Right.
On the Afghanistan question, you say you've never met with the 13 American service members' families who you slaughtered their children. Why don't you just tell me why you've abandoned them?
Right.
Why insult them like that?
Right.
Stop. Just let her answer. Can you name a single American service member who you ordered to their death? And you just let her answer. I promise you she hasn't prepared for that. The reason why this tactic works, the reason why this tactic is so important, and the reason why this tactic is what I coached Vivek Ramaswamy on, actually, when he flipped it around on Christian welfare. It said, you're the Russia gate collusion hoaxer, right? The reason why that works is because they're not used to answering questions.
Right.
You can't count on the moderators. We were all blown away. You, me, all of us were blown away when the CNN moderators were just basically fair. They were basically fair. Some questions angled towards Trump's strength, some questions angled towards Biden's strength, and Biden just fills his diaper and collapses into a coma. And Trump just had to like stand there and be able to fog up a mirror, right, by breathing. That's pretty much it. And Trump did that and did it beautifully and had a good, very, very solid debate. But wasn't baited and wasn't brought in. Like, we were all amazed and like giving plaudits to CNN for just not lighting their hair on fire and like screaming and attacking Donald Trump with pitchforks. That's what was considered like a great debate performance by the moderators. That was all planned. Please understand this. That was all planned. They needed to knock out Biden. They did it on purpose. They were like, they know that when they're fair, that Biden loses. When they're fair, that Kamala loses, because none of these people are ever used to getting questioned, which is why, as the candidate or the person on stage, you have to absorb the power of asking questions. And then allowing the long silence to spread out before you.
The damn moderator looks Southern Asian descent.
If the mission of CNN was to knock out Joe Biden by just giving him some chin music, right? And they knew this, they sleep the guy. See ya, right? That's all it took. The mission of ABC News tonight was to prop up Harris, to not ask a single flipping question that was negative to Kamala Harris. Everything was framed to be handed directly to her, gift wrap, and she got questions.
They just let her lie. And there's no way she didn't already know them questions. There's no way.
Topics and questions that without a doubt. Kamala Harris gets it. Everything was framed, tailor-made.
He still smashed it.
Even stuff that like should have been potential tripping points for her, like immigration. Instead of immigration being like, why did you let in 10 million criminal aliens? and people who are destroying towns in the Midwest, coast to coast, instead of the framing like that, it's framed like, Trump, how are you going to deport them all? How are you going to do that? Like, can you imagine? I mean, it's so wild.
Right, like, how you going to deport them all? He's not president yet.
Race now.
The hell you mean?
Well, we would like to ask some questions about race. Dude, not a single question about inflation? That affects race. That affects all races. Maybe disproportionately affects the people who you're trying to pander to.
Right.
So maybe you should ask that question.
Something about they not eating cats. Y'all want to see the video of the people eating the cats?
Water in the bridge. Because I'm sitting here and I'm thinking to myself, does it really matter?
Hold up.
Does anyone even care? It is 11 p.m., 5 minutes to 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Let me show you that.
On the... Yeah. Okay. Well, here we go. Polly Market has a tie. Polly Market now has a tie. They've had...
Now it's a tie. Polly Market got it 49-49. Look, y'all. Look at this BS. It's a tie here, but in Benny chat, it's 94%. In my chat, it's 72%. It's not a tie. And I know none of my subscribers are Benny subscribers. Maybe a 1 or 2 or 3. She's not winning. She's not winning. Where is this?
I'm not saying this about all Democrats. I am saying this about the cabal.
Right. We're not saying this about all Democrats. Let's get that straight. Clearly, we're not. Because we're for RFK Jr.
Those people, their sole goals are power and keep that power.
Yeah, like, man. Let me show y'all. Close ABC with their BS. I don't even want to hear their closing remarks. None of that. Here it is. Keep voting.
As I was saying, cats.
Look at this, y'all. Wait a minute.
There is cat kebabs.
Wait a minute.
As I was saying, cats. For the chicken of the alley, there is cat kebabs. Kitty Creole, cat gumbo. There's pineapple cat, lemon cat, kitty fritter, cat soup, cat on a stick, open-faced cat steak, plain broiled feline, cats and doglings. That's about it.
Okay, where is it?
Let's go ahead and check in on an average day of headlines in Kamala Harris's America.
Look, foul play. Foreign nationals kill and eat beloved town swan. Okay, but she's talking about nobody's eating people's animals. Okay.
Foreign nationals kill and eat beloved town swan. These inhuman degenerates need to face real consequences. Oh no, what happened here? 3 teens accused of killing and eating a beloved swan in upstate New York Village are refugees brought here by Kamala Harris. Oh my. These suspects killed and ate a beloved village swan and smiled as they were arrested. They also left the swan's 4 children without a mother.
Yeah, he did.
Cygnets.
Okay.
Little swan babies are known as cygnets. This is the beautiful swan that was eaten, and this is the man who ate
just
it.
Laughing.
You would be shocked to learn that this story didn't really make national news.
Sure didn't.
Outside of course, the local news circuits, where people were horrified at the enrichment that was happening to their community. Now, social media has been awash in claims that criminal aliens elsewhere in America, namely Ohio, have been kidnapping and eating pets, swans, ducks, and protected wildlife. That's what you've seen. Memes like this spread across the internet. Make cats safe again. This, ladies and gentlemen, was inescapable yesterday online as millions of people shared cat and dog memes supporting President Trump. and President Trump with cat and dog memes, and so on. Cute animals are
Watch what she
siding
say.
with Trump. I thought it was the cat ladies, right, who'd vote for Kamala. Well, it turns out that Kamala is the person bragging about bringing in hundreds of thousands of Haitian migrants into Ohio, saying that they need our support, they need our protection. This video went crazy, almost 20,000 reposts and 42,000 likes. Kamala Harris is responsible for this. However, reporters, instead of traveling to the town and speaking with people who live in the town, they decided to smear and slander J.D. Vance for noticing. J.D. Vance is a senator from Ohio. J.D. Vance spreads debunks claims about Haitian immigrants eating pets. Really? Well, this is a little confusing.
Lying. That is not what he said. He said, in the last few weeks, my office has received inquiries of residents of Springfield who said their neighbors, pets, and local wildlife were abducted by Haitian migrants. It's possible, of course, that all of these rumors will turn out to be false. Do you know what's confirmed? That a child was murdered by a Haitian migrant who had no right to be here. That local health services have been overwhelmed. That communicable diseases like TB and HIV have been on the rise. Right. That local schools have struggled to keep up with newcomers who don't know English. That rents have risen so fast that many Springfield families can't afford to put a roof over their head. And I get it, because it is this students. It's students at my daughter's school that it's students at my daughter's school that they was like, he was just wandering around outside, and they was like, he don't speak English. And they just like, class. They just pointing to him where to go, because he don't speak English. Man, I thought when you came into America, you had to learn basic things. Is this the one? Let me see. Here it is. Listen to what they say about the housing crisis in Ohio.
Republican town in Ohio. We don't have the infrastructure for this. These migrants are making this a very dangerous, very unsafe place to live. And that this is like really causing chaos. We can't handle this. Here's what the residents have to say.
You guys to get out here and do something. These Haitians are running into trash cans. They're running into buildings. They're running into they flipping cars in the middle of the street. And I don't know how, like, y'all can be comfortable with this. Like, I don't know, like, who's getting paid from this. I honestly feel like someone's getting paid from it in the background. You got a bunch of on a bus getting dropped off at a gas station to come down here. I know a single mom that FaceTimed me this morning at the welfare office that really need something. And it's nothing but immigrants over there. And I don't even want to, like, seem like I'm coming down on the immigrants, because it's the people that's bringing them down here.
So who's bringing them down there?
Right. Look,
let me tell you,
Biden floods town, 20,000 Haitian migrants, 10 to a bedroom.
You can't, like, get from Haiti to Ohio, right? You can't, like, get on a boat, get on a train. You can't do that. They have to be flown in. We have to pay for them to be flown in to that Ohio town. It's all done on purpose and at your expense. Billboard in Arizona, eat less kittens.
Oh, wow.
Republican. There's a billboard going up.
What is this?
It's called reductio absurdum arguments, where you argue the margins of something.
That man, because Trump save the kittens.
My God.
Is he mad?
Upset about me?
What in the hell is this?
What's happening?
Protect our ducks and kittens in Ohio because he goes down some crazy rabbit hole, completely debunked that aliens are eating pets.
Are we supposed to be made like how you are,
Mr. Chairman? Because last year, for a very long time, you tweeted and promoted Kanye West as he was calling for genocide against the Jews, and you kept it up. And now, when we have victims coming here, you're tweeting this nonsense.
Honey, who got this man to
I
act
don't
like
know why you
this?
would do
Kamala?
this. I hope you're okay. I don't know if the aliens who are eating your ducks are in the room with us right now.
You definitely know they're not in the room, because why would they be in Congress? Y'all putting illegals in Congress now?
Chinese spy lover Eric
Y'all
Schwarwell has
putting
a complete
illegals in
meltdown on the
Congress?
House
I'm
floor
confused.
hearing over Trump cat.
Like, you putting illegals in Congress now? What do you mean? I don't know if any of the aliens are with us in the room. Go on with that old fake, whatever you called that, buddy. Where is
Can I get 2 more pieces of chicken?
Yeah. It's on the live. This is the one. Wait a minute, let me find it. Right here.
You can't do it. So how did 20,000 criminal migrants get to this small little town? It had to be planned. It had to be planned by the Biden administration.
This is her actually saying.
Springfield, Ohio. Okay, so let's go ahead and
happening the Haitians.
Barely 58,000. Less than 3 years. Talking about this. Let's go.
That is why, also, starting with our administration, we gave TPS, temporary protected status, to Haitian migrants.
Temporary. They still here.
And then more recently, we extended temporary protected status to over 100,000 Haitian migrants.
Damn, so 150,000?
They need support. They need protection.
They need support and they need protection. We have that JD Vance clip.
So what do we need as Americans?
Shockingly, no, actually not shockingly at all, JD Vance, Donald Trump's running mate, has been warning about this. Now, you don't have to look to Donald Trump's running mate or to a prominent senator like JD Vance to find warnings. You can go down to the local level. And
is this the video right here of the person eating the cat?
Care and
no, this is not it. Wait a minute.
Spoke on, it's taxing our housing.
Listen to what this lady say.
I weigh 95 pounds. I couldn't be
Wait a minute.
Good anymore.
After migrants began squatting on her, talk about.
Thank you. I live at 426 Northwestern Avenue. Miss Skinner, who I'm not trying to put on the
so biased, Ilana.
Just talk to me, ma'am. Thank you so much.
And I'm done with what I'm seeing. It is so unsafe in my neighborhood anymore. I have the homeless that were trying to camp out, and I have made concessions with them, and I try to help them the best I can to keep them from trying to squat on my property. It is so unsafe. I have men that cannot speak English in my front yard screaming at me, throwing mattresses in my front yard, throwing trash in my front yard. And I can't. Look at me. I weigh 95 pounds. I couldn't defend myself if I had to.
Who's standing up for that woman?
Nobody.
Who's saying that woman deserves as a
look at this.
Population has increased 15 to 20,000 over the last 4 years in a community of under 60,000 previous residents, putting a significant strain on our resources and ability.
Look at all these Americans that done lost jobs.
Okay, so
versus immigrants getting jobs.
Particularly fascinating the framing of this. That like jobs attracted Haitians to you can't to Ohio. You can't do that.
1.3 million born American jobs lost, but 635,000 foreign-born ones gained.
Look at a map. You can't do it. So how did 20,000 criminal migrants get to this small little town? It had to be planned.
Yeah, and it was. It was.
Who is standing up for these people? Like, his life matters. The security of, like, gonna do it. How are you gonna tell Americans who have had like a dog that was their best friend? That's how you get raised in the country. Does he know? Okay.
Wait a minute.
Don't take me to
where is it?
Sports betting games, right? No good. I'm not gonna tell you what to bet on blackjack.
to get the most oxygen just
Look at
looking at
Trump
what happened
rallies.
at
His
the last
rallies
debate.
always be
That's
full.
really tough for her because it's, in my opinion, kind of outside her control.
And not
she
of
does
people
not
getting
seem
bust
to
in.
do well under pressure. So we
Hold
could
up.
see anything tomorrow, but the pressure must be
And
immense.
not of people getting bust in. Yeah. Debate was a dang joke for real. Biased like a mud. Her mic was not muted. His mic was muted. It don't matter. He still killed her. Like, he still. But I ain't done showing what I'm showing. And look, this Biden admitting that the Inflation Reduction Act was really about climate. But y'all don't be listening. Y'all don't even be listening. Y'all don't even be listening. Watch. He literally said we should have called it what it was, but you know, oh well, that's here nor there now. Like he literally said that.
But 2 years ago, Biden was saying this about his so-called Inflation Reduction Act.
Listen.
The fact is that my message to Congress is this. This is the strongest bill you can pass to lower inflation, cut the deficit, reduce health care costs, tackle the climate crisis, and promote energy security. All the time while reducing the burdens facing working class and middle class families.
So that was the promise, but now Biden's admitting that the legislation, it just wasn't about inflation. It was really about his climate agenda.
You know, I'm proud to announce that my investments, through my investments, the most significant climate change law ever, and by the way, it is a $369 billion bill. It's called we should have named it what it was, but at any rate.
All right, so literally.
You know, Charlie, it sounds like a tacit admission of the screen we're about to put up that inflation went from 1.4% when he came into office to 9.1%.
Right, like, come on.
Now around 3%.
She's talking about stuff done went down.
It's also
I like that.
dishonest. And, you know, and if you remember at the time, the reason they called it this and not the Green New Deal, when we were all trying to call it the Green New Deal, is because they knew that the Green New Deal couldn't get passed.
Right, who gonna vote a Green New Deal?
For calling it the Green New Deal. But and he's admitting now, that is what it was. It was the Green New Deal under a different name, and then the name turned out also to be a complete lie.
So his tacit admission about inflation came 3 days after his press secretary said this.
Yes, we've talked about this. We have seen, now to be clear, we have seen grocery prices come down over the past year or more, and so that is important. And a lot of that is the work that's been done from this administration.
Fact check, Kennedy. Groceries are 21% more expensive than when he came into office.
Girl, yes, right.
Absolutely, and tell that to shoppers. You know, this is one of those
things.
Tell
that to me, this mom of six. Shit high.
Because they know they haven't gotten a raise. Their groceries and rent are still more expensive, and it's harder than ever to make ends meet. And that is what matters to them. You know, they don't, when you're shopping for eggs, like Emily was last weekend, and you realize they're $10 a dozen, you're not thinking, but I'm so glad the climate is in better shape. I mean, they
right, like, get the hell out of here.
Because no one likes cellulite either.
The Cellulite Reduction Act or the Inflation Explosion Act. I like that.
No, I think that's what you called it, right, Charlie?
Right, inflation. Right, that's exactly what it should have been called. Like he said, we should have named it what it was. Like he telling on them now. He telling on them now because he's like, oh yeah, they done booted my ass out. My legacy. This is my legacy. Like for all he know, he can die tomorrow. I mean, we all can, but y'all get what I'm saying. Like he, you know, up in age. They basically let you raise the money, booted you out, and put her in under your money, and nobody voted her in. But we supposed to be okay with that. And I'm just trying to figure out what did she say tonight at this debate that's supposed to make somebody be like, yeah, I'm voting for her. No. because it still stands. She gave the agents $26.9 billion in 2023 and $17.3 billion in 2022. You can give them all these billions. You can give Ukraine all these billions, but somehow you can't give your poor Americans no billions. And I have facts for anything that I speak on. Yeah, WhiteHouse.gov all the way. WhiteHouse.gov all the way. You can find all this information that I'm talking about. Thanks for subscribing, Elena. Kamala is a joke. The whole world sees it, but sadly, some of the Americans who vote are blind. Right, blind. I've been voting Democrat all my life. Well, has your life changed? All these federal people, houses getting raided. Mayor Adams, 3 of his top aides' houses was raided by the feds. Like, these people are all crooks. All these people are Democrats. I'm not saying all Democrats are crooks, but I'm just saying. I did this short. Let me show y'all this short I did on my page today. I bet all y'all can relate to it.
Turn off the flashlight. Go in the ditch.
Look at this short I did today, y'all. It need way more views than this.
Hey, this is on point. Anybody else feel the same way under Joe Biden and Kamala Harris's economy? This is trash. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 5, 6, 7, 8. 6, 7, 8. 7, 8. 8. Hey, this is on point. Feel the same way under Joe Biden and Kamala Harris's economy? This is trash. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 5, 6, 7, 8. 6, 7, 8. 7, 8. 8.
Who can relate to that? Yeah. I'm sure a lot of you can. Turn it down. Turn it down. What you doing? What you want? What you want?
Let's go green first. Get those on the side. Okay, we got those up there.
Shallow. Put that down.
Don't mention it. You know we're with, and we don't win. Subscribe right now.
Hi, sweetie. What are you to nurse today?
Put that down. You're gonna be in my lap. Shallow. Cut it down. Yeah.
Like, this ain't even
okay. Shallow, come on. Where is the damn video at? I'm looking for it, y'all. It's been a long day. Drinks on me. He had that Hunter Biden pleading guilty because he think he gonna be pardoned by his daddy. Like, all these people just crooked. Y'all know that Hunter Biden pled guilty to all 9 felonies. But they weren't talking about Trump a felon. What about your son, Biden? Laden and Scamala. Laden and Scamala. I'm gonna put that on the shirt. Scamming Laden. Scamala Laden. Yep. I'm gonna put that on the shirt. These people crazy. I need to find a video where the Haitian was actually eating the damn cat. And the police was like, you ate that? You was eating that cat? You was eating that cat? And she just was smiling. They're talking about people not eating cats. Okay. Did I send it to myself? I'm gonna find this video, y'all, before I get up out of here. Maybe I should just type it in. Let's see. Let me see. No, it's not right there. Don't worry, I'm gonna find it. Yeah, I'm persistent. I'm amazed how many people are podcasting this and talking about how loud it's right. They talking about it's not like it's false. Then why is News Nation reporting on it? Of course, Roland Martin lying. Racist Republicans push lies about Haitians eating pets because y'all know he Haitian or whatever. They are eating them. Is this the one where the police? They running into people's cars, don't know how to drive. No, it's not that one. Where is the dang on video? Here we go. Here we go. Told you I was gonna find it. I'm persistent. Look, watch this.
Because it's about this woman talking about Haitian residents eating cats and geese. Check this out.
I didn't want to believe what I'm about to tell you, but after researching, looking into it in Ohio, I actually have people out
No, that ain't it. You showed it like you was, because this is the video, the picture of it right here. But that's not the actual video that I saw. Let me see. Man, it's like that Scrub had that video removed. Police, let me see. Police called woman eating cat. Okay, now I found it for real this time. Now, matter of fact, told you I was gonna find it. We still got the poll going on. Ohio woman allegedly killed cat and ate it in front of the neighbors. You got a weak stomach, you may. Why I don't hear nothing?
That's not enough. She also.
Okay.
What did you do?
Brace yourselves. This one's extra gruesome. Because what this woman allegedly did was murder a cat. And if that's not enough, she also ate it.
She destroyed that cat. This is...
First responders found this woman on the scene covered in blood with cat hair still stuck to
Talking
her
about
lips.
Ohio woman. This is illegal.
Up veteran officers.
As long as I've been a policeman, I've never had a call where someone was eating a cat.
This case is out of Canton, Ohio, about an hour south of Cleveland. On August 16th, just before midnight, 911 dispatch there got a disturbing call.
911, where's your emergency?
Hey, I'm in Jackson, Sherry, and I have a black woman that's tweaking out real bad. She's on drugs, real bad.
What's your address so I can get the block range?
11, 19, Jackson, Sherry.
The caller reports a woman who he says is tweaking out after probably taking some drugs.
You've never seen her before?
No, I've never seen this lady in my life.
Okay, did you see what she was wearing? Is that who you're talking to right now?
Yeah, she keeps grabbing on to people. And she's just eating random stuff off the floor and seeing stuff.
What is she wearing?
A sundress with flip-flops, like gold fly with a sundress. It's like rainbow sundress. Okay. Yellow, green, blue, orange.
The person he's describing is 27-year-old Alexis Farrell, but the caller doesn't know that yet. He just knows she's getting too close for comfort. You can even hear this on the call.
What? In my mouth. What? Okay, you've never seen her before and she's just grabbing on you?
Yeah, she grabbed on my lady too. She couldn't let go for a minute, and she's walking up on me right now. You need to back up.
Okay, all right, I'm going to get someone out there. Did she come out of 1133?
No, she just came out of nowhere.
So that call was disturbing, but more calls come in that take it to the next level.
911, where's your emergency?
Hi, I need an ambulance and police. Don't come over here. This girl is, I don't know, she's out here on drugs. Something she pulled the head off of her cat. She said she put ice. I don't know. We just need somebody like to come get her cat.
The calls keep coming in that Farrell is outside eating a cat. Dispatch even hears from her cousin, who says Farrell was performing this disturbing act live on Facebook.
I just was watching a live video of my cousin on Facebook, and she's down at her house. She killed the cat and is eating it. I need police and medical.
Why do you need medical?
I don't know what she took, what kind of drug she's on.
I told you, Rhonda.
So
She's on a live video eating a cat.
So you're saying that she's a 1310 Roeport?
Yeah, Southeast, Canton, Ohio.
What's her name?
Alexis Farrell.
I'm sorry, say that one more time.
Alexis Farrell.
Her cousin says before Farrell started eating the cat, she ate something else that is also a bit disturbing.
I know my cousin just called me, and she was the one who told me to go look at the video, whatever. She said she just left her house not too long ago, and she said she just came downstairs out of nowhere this weekend. And she's like, I don't know what she was on, but she ate a spider off the wall, and I was a cat outside.
There's another 911 call that comes in too, requesting both police and a medic.
What does she need a medic for?
She's done pulled the head off a cat. She done killed the cat.
Okay, yeah, we have police on the way for that.
Why you wouldn't send a medic?
Why are we sending a medic? She was eating a cat. We send police for something like that. That's more of a mental health issue.
Right, because she ate a cat.
Criminal issue too for animal cruelty.
This caller says that in addition to killing and eating a cat, Farrell also said she killed her own children.
We need somebody to come real bad because she's been down here talking about how she killed 2 kids.
Canton police arrive on the scene just before midnight, and all this is caught on body camera video.
Oh, her and the cat.
Right away, the officer is in shock, asking Farrell what she just did.
What did you do? Why'd you kill the cat?
The officer tells Farrell to get up off the ground.
Stand up.
By now, a small crowd has gathered around Farrell, and they tell officers about her other threats.
She said she killed two kids.
But before officers can learn more about that allegation, they have to cuff Farrell.
Put your hands behind your back.
It's really clear from early on, it's not safe to touch Farrell because she's covered in blood.
Someone got rubber gloves. She's covered in blood.
After all this, Farrell is finally handcuffed.
I bet you got gloves. You got rubber gloves. Not 5. 95. Got one in custody. Where do you live at?
2255 hours.
Cuff her up.
I don't know, Rhonda. She ain't said nothing.
Let's go.
Let's talk about something I know you'll be interested in. Cash back. Yeah,
Oh, no,
Farrell away
ma'am.
from the scene, headed for the squad car.
Around here, I know how anybody walking around.
On every gallon on your first tank.
Around here, I know how anybody walking around. Show me complete project quarters.
Yeah. Hold on.
But before she can be loaded into the car, the officer wearing the body cam grabs a blanket from the back of his squad. That's so Farrell and her bloody clothes aren't directly on the squad car seats.
Putting a blanket on that back seat first.
You want to get pictures of her hand, or we can take pictures of her cat?
Yeah. I'll get it. We'll just do everything.
48.
Don't get in the car yet.
48. You contact the caller and have her come up with a door for us.
Get the damn cover in there.
Once they begin, do you understand your rights? Do you understand?
Farrell doesn't really answer, but does play along when officers take some pictures.
Smile for me. Smile with your teeth. Go like this.
And then the officer asks point blank the question we're all wondering.
Did you eat that cat? Did you eat it? No, why'd you kill it?
The officer has heard enough and says it's time for Farrell to get in the squad car.
Get in there. It's ridiculous.
While Farrell is waiting in the back of the squad, the officer heads back to the scene of the crime.
It's all right, other kitty. You're safe.
Part of the crowd is still there, and they have some answers for the officer.
I sure need some answers.
Did you guys see all this?
No, we pulled up and she was just laying there with me.
Did you see her eating it? She was eating it?
Yeah. She said, but it blood on her. She said she stuffed it out.
Yeah. Well, you don't kill a cat and go to the hospital. You go to jail.
Up next, the officer makes a call on his radio, discussing what to do with the body of the cat.
Jam 410-221. Jam 410-221.
Two other kids. That's what she was saying. Yes.
Copy on attempted Uber with Jam 410-221. 2250 hours.
You guys never seen her before?
No.
Two.
I've seen her over there, but I don't know like
You call the Humane Society, see if they'll come pick this cat up. It's deceased.
Where's the cousin to call 911?
Copy. They will not pick up a deceased animal. It'll just have to be disposed of, but we can call them in.
234 advised me they would, and they'll hold it as evidence.
For what explain the circumstances to them?
Absolutely ridiculous. All right, have a good night, folks.
And now is when the officer learns a bit more about Farrell's kids.
I know where the kids at, Rhonda, right?
Will you guys go check her house? Yeah. Yeah, we got her. Yeah, she's going to jail. Yeah. I mean, clearly she's going through something, but maybe she's going through something mentally.
Bro, she lost her mom, kids died, killed themselves.
Yeah.
She gave her kids to somebody. You know what I mean? She tried to go get herself right mentally.
So she doesn't have her kids because she was telling people she killed them.
No, she never killed her kids. Her kids were a family member. She sent them to somebody to try to go get herself together. That person she sent them went fucking beat them and went somewhere else.
Okay.
So, she said she didn't fucking kill them.
Okay.
Hold on.
Okay.
No, I got it.
So the kids are okay.
Yeah. You got another set? You'll need them at the county.
I know what you want.
She told all that?
No, she told these other people that.
Hey, Drina, this day, Sean, where is Lex's kids at? Yeah, see? Okay, because I just walked down here. She was telling these people, I mean, she going to jail, I guess, but she was telling these people out here that she killed their kids. That's the only reason why. Okay. Okay. All right. Okay, so.
hear what sort of charges Farrell will face.
Right, not the damn cat.
Animals. Huh? Yeah, that's what it is.
Talking amongst themselves, the officers discuss Farrell's children and the heinousness of her crime.
Spoke to Deshaun. He stated the female doesn't have possession of her kids. We hear with the cat, she doesn't have possession of her kids anymore. So,
yeah, girl said she said something about she spoke to kids and touched it through it. So, she may decide coming out.
I don't know yet. Judy said they would, and they'll hold the cat as evidence. She destroyed that cat. This is. I told him I don't like him anymore. As long as she had cat hair on her mouth. As long as I've been a policeman, I've never had a call where someone was eating a cat.
From here, the officer gets into the squad and drives Farrell to the county jail. During this time, he speaks with a woman who's watching Farrell's children, confirming they are alive.
I'd already made contact with that Keisha when I was talking to Sean. He called her. She has the kids. They're fine.
After about a 10-minute drive, they arrive at the jail.
So yeah, y'all, she in jail. Let's see what they end up charging her with.
Eventually, an officer adjusts her handcuffs.
PB1.
So is she talking English? So look like that's the end of that. What? What's wrong? I told y'all. Back it up. Okay.
About 20 minutes later, Farrell is moved from the holding room and walks past the body cam.
She did this on Facebook by the time.
Oh, see, she crying now, y'all.
That's where the body camera reporting ends, but not where Farrell's story ends. She was charged with prohibition concerning companion animals, cruelty to animals, and disorderly conduct. For those charges, her bond was set at $100,000. Reporting for Long Crime, I'm Sierra Gillespie.
So she got to come over 10,000 to get out. My son, he sleep. He ready to go to sleep, y'all. So he's breastfeeding. Life over mommy. I'm about to end this poll. I'm gonna give y'all one more minute to 10:45 to get some more votes in. Actually, I can see him in the picture because they'll be like, flag the video. Yes, the kids are live, thank God. Right. Yeah, I definitely will be live tomorrow, and we're going to go over the debate tomorrow. So, yeah, we're going to go over my debate, this video, tomorrow. He's asleep. That quick. But yeah, they was the people, the moderators were very biased, but Trump held his own. He definitely did that. He held his own. Benny's still alive? No, he not. But he definitely held his own. Let's see something. Yeah, I'm not going to review nothing tonight. I'm going to do it tomorrow. So I hope y'all enjoyed this video. We finna end the poll. It's over with now. Here's my end poll. Let's poll, y'all. Trump 74%, Kamala 25%. Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Who am I supporting? I can't show you my feet because I'm breastfeeding my baby. She definitely didn't win the debate. She definitely didn't win, but for those that want to know who I'm for, here we go. And then I'm getting up out of here.
Trump 2024.
This is me. Any more questions? Okay, let's see what else I got to show you. Wait a minute. Hold up. My bad. Hold up. We're going to end this on a fun note. Fun note.
Come on, man. Every time I've seen her,
This what she sound like tonight.
What else are you going to do to fix this problem? Thank you. Well, let's start with this. Prices have gone up. And families and individuals are dealing with the realities of that bread costs more, that gas costs more. And we have to understand what that means. That's about the cost of living going up. That's about having to stress and stretch limited resources. That's about a source of stress for families that is not only economic, but is on a daily level, something that is a heavy weight to carry. So it is something that we take very seriously. Very seriously. And we know from the history of this issue in the United States that when you see these prices go up,
Girl, just hush. Didn't say nothing.
She's a chameleon. Yeah, that's a fair.
Did y'all hear the black accent today? I didn't. I didn't hear. You better thank a union worker. You better thank a 9 to 5. You better thank her. What happened to the black accent tonight? Yeah. Did she say tonight I'm of black and Southern Asian descent? No. They're trying to make it seem like Trump racist. No, ma'am. This is just what you've been telling America.
Fair criticism of her. She's taken on whatever mantle can help her get ahead.
Kamala Harris is a chameleon. She puts on a fake Southern accent. She is everything to everybody.
I mean, you see this ludicrous accent that she's put on it. By the way, I grew up in rural North Carolina. I actually grew up in a segregated town in rural North Carolina in the 1970s, and you know, she ain't from rural South, and she is not part of that persona. They don't talk like that in Jamaica, where her family really is from.
This particular Saturday afternoon, with Kamala and all our friends, I said to the congressman, I didn't know he could think like that.
That's a lovely accent you have.
Girl, bye.
New Jersey?
You all helped us win in 2020, and we're going to do it again in
2024.
Yeah, you were idiots. Yeah. Okay, and I don't know that everybody knows that.
Well, there you go. If you don't. She's Indian. Isn't that what she said? Okay. Like I said, I don't care what color she is, girl. Don't be just trying to pander to us.
Recording her mother's journey from India to America. Now, her mother, Shamala Gopal,
was born in Chennai. And
Sure, not a
immigrated to
fool. I have
America
a real
to study
southern
at
accent.
UC Berkeley. The Indian origin
Tennessee and
senator once
Alabama.
talked about her trips to India and her mother's attempts to instill a love of good idli in her. Listen.
I stand before you as the first candidate for Vice President of the United States of South Asian descent. United States of South Asian descent. Of the United States of South Asian descent.
Okay.
When my mother, Shamala, stepped off the plane in California at 19 years old, she didn't have much in the way of belongings, but she carried with her lessons from back home. Growing up, my mother would take my sister, Maya, and me back to what was then called Madras, because she wanted us to understand where she had come from.
Well, her daddy said, baby, you ain't finna put us in that mess, ma'am. Laughing about if you smoke marijuana and didn't want to put your dad in it. This is probably where y'all saw me in this video.
Is only on the ticket because she is a black woman.
Well, I can say now I think it's maybe a little bit different. So I've known her a long time indirectly, not directly very much. And she was always of Indian heritage, and she was only promoting Indian heritage. I didn't know she was black until a number of years ago when she happened to turn black, and now she wants to be known as black. So I don't know, is she Indian or is she black?
She has always identified as a black woman.
I respect either one. I respect either one, but she obviously doesn't, because she was Indian all the way, and then all of a sudden she made a turn, and she became a black person.
Just to be clear, so
I think somebody should look into that too when you ask continue in a very hostile, nasty tone.
I just love the way he says black. He's just great. I mean,
Right,
come on.
like that's why they be hating him. Yeah, her ancestors had slaves and got paid for them after they had to free the slaves. So they got paid for the slaves. I done all my research. My phone.
I want to bring the conversation back to the broken criminal justice system that is disproportionately negatively impacting black and brown people all across this country today. Senator Harris says she's proud of her record as a prosecutor and that she'll be a prosecutor president, but I'm deeply concerned about this record. There are too many examples to cite, but she put over 1,500 people in jail for marijuana violations and then laughed about it when she was asked if she ever smoked marijuana. She brought evidence that would have freed an innocent man from death row until the court forced her to do so. She kept people in prison beyond their sentences to use them as cheap labor for the state of California, and she fought to keep that bail system in place that impacts poor people in the worst kind of.
She lucky my phone finna die because I'll let her ass have it. Like I've been doing this whole time. Girl, we is not for you. They're talking about they taking away your rights, but here I see free abortions and vasectomies at the DNC a couple of weeks ago.
I hope not. Good. All the people talking about it wasn't a bus out there offering free abortions and vasectomies, but here we are. Wake up. She literally meant do not come. There we go. Open your eyes. I thought they took your rights away. Okay, keep believing the lies of the Democrats. Get off the plantation. Wake up.
Right, but they're trying to talk about me riding up. You shouldn't have had all them kids up. I'm not complaining about my children.
Everything they can, including creating PACs to prevent us from being able to have ballot access.
Yeah, it's interesting because you were saying that you could stay in and run the risk of Kamala Harris win, or you could walk and you could join forces with Donald Trump. When you say join forces, Nicole, what do you mean specifically?
Well, this idea of a unity party, an idea of us coming around these principles of fighting for liberty in this country, fighting for our children's health. We have the worst chronic health crisis in the world right now. Over 50% of children are diagnosed with some chronic disease. This is to work with anyone who is since.
Hold on, I gotta go lay my baby down. I'll be right back. Don't y'all go nowhere. I'm trying to plug my phone up so it don't down, y'all. Okay, I got it plugged up. I'll be back in just a second. Don't y'all go nowhere. Okay, I'm back. Yeah, I love my babies. Right, we having families. Yeah, she wouldn't know because she don't have none. So she don't care about killing a baby at 7 months. These people crazy. Like, okay, we have more. Like, this what they want. They want to transgender your kindergartner.
It's of everyone.
I just want y'all to know that this.
Hold up.
Including the right of everyone to be who they are, love who they love, openly and with pride. So as we fight back against these attacks, let's all remember, no one is alone. We are all